Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Des, aka the Shamrock Pixie, and welcome to another live Saturday mental health chat. Um, I'm going to throw out the link for anybody who would like to join my panel today. I see that Jacob is in here. Welcome. Denise, welcome. Much love, my friend. You are amazing, and thank you so much for supporting me. Hello, Dwayne, aka Mothership Products. How you doing? I still have my snow globe sitting right next to me on my desk. Thank you again for that. I absolutely love it. Hello, Darlene. Welcome. I know that she will be back. She had to go do something this morning, so hopefully she'll be able to join a little bit later. And yes, Dwayne, I do have very super red hair today. I did dye it last night. The gray was driving me nuts and triggering my PTSD and anxiety, so I had to get rid of the gray. Well, the white streak that I have that comes right here. So, which I will explain how I got that white streak. It has to do with the domestic abuse I was in, the relationship that I was in. Hello, Ciosa Sales. Welcome. Big girls really do cry. How are you doing today? Welcome. And so now I'm going to get the link and I'm going to drop it into the chat. And today I'm hoping that we get some spouses on to kind of tell their side of their partner's mental health and how it affects them and stuff like that. And I'm hoping that Jacob will be able to come on as well to tell his story. So we have two things kind of going on today. And so I'm super excited. I'm super excited. Hello, Nana. Oh, Tink Treasures. Welcome. Hello, Sparking Mom Deals. Welcome. I'm actually a natural redhead. It's just dark. It's a darker red. And so when I was younger, I started dyeing my hair because I was not into the red. And I was like, oh, I hate my red hair. And then now at 39, I regret that I ever first started dyeing my hair. I really do. All right, let's see. Here we go. There we go. So I just dropped the link for everybody or anybody who would like to join. I do see a lot of new faces, and I'm really grateful that you guys are here. Thank you. Welcome, Jonathan Roseberry. I hope I did not kill your name, but thank you for being here. I greatly appreciate it. We have 12 people here. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. And I do apologize for being a little bit late. I had to deal with some bird issues, and so they were all flying around being pretty loud. So if they get too loud, just let me know, and I will mute and get them to calm down. So, like this week, I was going to drop a video and I ended up sick. So I wasn't able to drop a video as planned on Wednesday for my premiere, and I do apologize for that. Yes, Jacob, I know, right? It's awesome. It's really awesome. You can come in if you'd like, Jacob, and tell your story and stuff like that. Hold on, I need to. Hey, you guys are all right. It's okay. Mr. Pickles is squawking. He had to do his exercises this morning, so he's not a very happy bird. He doesn't realize that his ladder is down for him to crawl up. He's being silly pants today, but we have to have him walk around the house. Otherwise, he wants to stay inside his cage all the time, and it's not good for him. So for the last 6 years, that's all he's ever been, was inside the cage. So now he has a exercise routine that he has to do every day, usually in the morning, where he has to walk around the house and kind of like get those legs a moving. And so I love birds, have had them on and off for years. So the story with the birds, I know a lot of you are new. So I'm going to explain a little bit about Mr. Pickles and the birds that I do have. Now, I've always loved birds, and hey, that is your reflection, silly. Come here. See if I can get him come over. But I've always fed the birds outside, the wild birds, and I've had wild birds come up and, just kind of I've gotten really close with the birds that we have, especially outside. And so with that, my fiance grew up with birds. And so he kept telling me, oh, you'll love having a bird in the house. And we talked about it for a couple of years, actually. And then we had the opportunity to get Mr. Pickles, who is a Quaker parrot, or otherwise known as a monk parrot. And he was abused and neglected, and not by the people that we got him from. They just didn't understand that he needed to be out and about and to be socialized and stuff like that. They thought it was just like one of those things where like you would get, I don't know. It was kind of weird. I don't know how to explain it really, but so he was in his cage all the time. He got real aggressive with them. And so they weren't able to like handle him or anything like that. Well, he has come to us. We got him in July of last year. He's 11, and he has major signs of PTSD, separation anxiety, which I just like, it clicked why when I leave the house, if I don't tell him that I'm going to come back, he like squawks the whole time that I'm gone. And so, I've learned that I have to tell him, Mama will be back. It's okay. And he doesn't do it as much. So really, Dwayne, you're sassy. You can come on and talk if you would like, sassy. Jacob says, I don't have much in the spousal abuse arena. My wife was formerly abused and has diagnosed depression, OCD, and a couple other things, but we have beat most of it years later, and that's the thing too. So I'd really like for you to come on, Jacob, and tell your story of your PTSD and stuff and the things that you have gone through. You don't necessarily have to talk about your wife unless you feel comfortable doing that. That's okay. And so it's like an open forum. I mean, or an open platform where, people come on and they share their stories. And this week I was hoping, that, if there's any spouses out there that would like to give their side of how they handle and deal with their partner's mental health, that would be great as well. It's okay, big girls don't cry. You're more than welcome to come on. You should have seen when I first started. My camera was crazy. I went on and when I first started on YouTube, if you go back and watch, I glitched a lot. I couldn't it was weird. I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but I try. Hello, welcome, sir.
How you doing?
It's going. Oh.
So how would you like to start this?
Okay, so what I usually I introduce anybody who comes on the panel, and then I ask for you to give a little brief summary of what your channel's about or what you do, stuff like that, and then we go from there. So this is Mr. Jacob, everybody. He is awesome. I just met him through Darlene's channel, and then I jumped over to his channel, and he's awesome. And so thank you for being here, Jacob. And Dwayne, Mothership Products, welcome for coming.
How are you?
I am good. Dwayne, Jacob, Dwayne.
How you doing, Dwayne?
Oh,
All right. So, Jacob, would you like to give everybody a little bit of information about yourself, please?
Sure. So my name is Jacob Billett. I'm the CEO of Bill Enterprises. My company, I do business management, strategic expansion, incubator projects, venture capital, stuff like that. We have a decent hand in real estate as well. So we own properties throughout the U.S., majority Las Vegas, and then also Florida and then Northern California. We've got 3 in Colorado that we're doing right now. So I operate an umbrella company that has several DBAs doing business as. So we own 7 companies and we manage about a half a dozen more. So I've been doing this since 2015. I technically retired in 2015 at 31. Didn't have to work anymore, but decided, I'm going to start my own thing. And I kind of want to go, be self-employed and just kind of do what I want to do. Been doing that ever since. Been on YouTube for about 5 months. It's been a little bit more successful than I thought it would. Seems like there's a gap in the market in here for people that are here to actually help other people, kind of like what you do for mental health. A lot of the people on YouTube seem to be just they want to be YouTube stars, however they need to be, fake personalities, fake business, stuff like that. So I've come on, again, done really well. Then I also kind of noticed that YouTubers were having a hard time actually going out and promoting their channels and promoting what they do. A lot of people, when they stream, they don't want to hear about what other people do. It's all about like me, I kind of mentality. And I'm like, okay, well, I see this gap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an environment where people can come in and talk about their channels, talk about what they do, who they are, what their dreams are, what their business goals are. And that's really done really well on my channel. And so people come in, they mingle, they create good relationships, good engagement, and find people that are actually wanting to be a part of their journey and a part of their channel. A lot of people don't talk a lot about their YouTube channels in their sphere of influence, in their warm market, their friends, their family, stuff like that, because some people don't take YouTube, like families and friends don't take YouTube seriously. Like, oh, you got a YouTube channel, yeah, whatever. There's not a lot of support there. And so one of the big things I'm seeing is that a lot of people that are excellent content creators, that have a message, that have a good voice, that want to get something out that could better the world, they don't get the exposure they deserve. And so that's what I'm trying to do on my channel. So my channel is primarily a business and finance channel. And so I do 4 videos a week that are related to business, finance, and inspiration. And then during the afternoons, it's basically an open forum. People come in, talk about what they want to do and what their goals are, and we go from there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Hello, lady. Big girl. Or big girls really do cry. Welcome. This is the first time I've seen you. I just met you as well.
Yeah. Obviously, I watched this was it last week when you did one? I watched it back, and I was really interested because it's something that's affected me a lot. So, and then obviously you invited us on, so I thought, well, I'll pop on.
Well, welcome. I greatly appreciate it. I really do. Dwayne, would you like to tell everybody a little bit about yourself for people who don't know who you are?
My wife.
I know everybody knows who you are.
I don't.
I'm live.
Okay, what's your answer?
No, I have not. We just live life here. So I'm Dwayne, Mothership Products, half of it. The other one was upstairs. He's going to feed the dog now. Well, I'm pretty much just a chat troll now. I used to do an auction, but I stopped doing that after 2.5 years, and so now I just run around and tease people and chat. Pretty much.
He always puts a smile on my face. That's what I absolutely love about Dwayne, and he's got a heart of gold.
It really, I really believe that laughter is so needed in life. So I'm one that I'm a clown. I make fun of everybody, just to get a smile, because I really think that that helps people a lot.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago when I did my live, I actually ended up that evening having a severe anxiety attack, and I took my medicine for it. It just wouldn't stop. And so last week, I was nervous that I was going to have another anxiety attack. But Dwayne had me cracking up at the end of our live, me and Darlene, that I actually did not have a anxiety attack last week after doing my live. And I greatly am thankful for that, because we touch base on a lot of deep emotional straining stuff, and so, or draining stuff. And so when he did that last week, it was such a relief to not have that anxiety attack. And I'm greatly appreciative to you, Dwayne. And I have my snow globe. It's on my desk. So, and I'm greatly appreciative for that as well. Thank you. Laney, would you like to tell everybody about yourself?
Hello, I'm Laney. I am from the UK, if you can't tell already. I live on the northeast coast in a place called Sunderland. I started doing a blog after being in hospital for 6 months 3 years ago. I used food to cope with life from a child. Obviously, that nearly ended up taking my life, hence the 6 months in hospital. I have lost a total of 255 pounds so
Good
far.
job. Good job.
I'm still going down. I've still got weight to lose and stuff, but it's just totally changed my life. I've obviously dealt with the demons kind of thing, and the self-hate and all of those things. So they've gone, which is great. And like you, I want to just help others as well now, because I feel like I want other people to know you can feel like this. You can actually feel good about yourself, and it doesn't have to be the way I always thought it was, because I truly believed that how I thought before was who I was. And obviously now I realise that actually wasn't. It was my mental health that clouded us. So yeah, I'm only able to walk. I have a hoist and stuff, and I did have a bit of sometimes I get a bit of cabin fever kind of thing. So I did feel a bit low yesterday, and it does bring up other things when you do feel like that. It kind of, oh, if only I could walk, if only this, if only that, and you can sort of go in that. But writing really helps me. I love to write poetry. And for some reason, my better stuff comes out when I'm sad. I always find. So, yeah. But just moving forward, really, and that's what I want to do. Keep going forward.
Well, that's amazing. And I'm so proud of the weight loss.
Yeah, congratulations on that. It's a big deal.
Thank you.
I can relate with the weight loss. I was 285 pounds. And it's taken me many years to get down to the size that I am, and I still fluctuate. And for me, because of my mental health that I deal with on a constant basis, I know that my mind, I look in the mirror and I still see that 285-pound person.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle for me personally, but I give you mad props. That is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, that body dysmorphia, that works both ways. I was very, very hopelessly addicted to methamphetamines as a teenager. And when I went to the military, I was 142 pounds at 18 years old. And when I relapsed after my last tour in Iraq, I was about 145. Before I was able to get pulled out of it again. And I still, even when I was a bodybuilder and I played arena football, I was a professional athlete for a few years playing arena football, power lifted the whole 9 yards. I would bulk up to 265 playing ball. And I'd look at myself in the mirror and I see a 145-pound man to this day. So it works the exact opposite for body dysmorphia. So it's crazy to hear.
Is that what it's called then?
Body dysmorphia? Yeah. Yes.
Dysmorphia.
Oh.
I was diagnosed with it, but when I was slim, when I was young, I felt like I did at my biggest. I visually, in my head, thought that's how I looked anyway. I didn't have any difference. You know what I mean? So, like you said, it works in reverse.
It does.
You don't see yourself bigger, but even when you're bigger, you can forgot what I was saying. It's kind of like, but either way, it works in both ways, and obviously I think that's sort of called I think that's how the self-hate came as well. But I went through some bullying at school and stuff, and obviously that added to it, and kind of for me confirmed it, I guess, and then it just went on from there, and massively. The only thing that silenced my head was food, because while I was eating, I didn't feel a thing, and that was a good thing in a sense, or at least I thought it was.
Well, they say that you have sex, you have drugs, and you have food that will release the dopamine to give you that high to get away from everything. And so those are the 3 highest ranked dopamine releasing activities that you can do. So when you have that kind of addiction, it's hard because it's just like a drug.
Wow.
Yeah, the same with bipolar. Being bipolar, you typically act out in those same 3: food, sex, or drugs and alcohol. That's just the way you release. And different people choose their own vice. But one thing I wanted to say is that a lot of people don't realize that this is a constant battle. I mean, it's not, wait and get on drugs or on, happy pills and it's over. No. This is a lifelong struggle for people. Heather has been diagnosed as bipolar. I don't even remember how long ago, but there's good days and bad days. It just, but it's constant. And as spouses and support people, we have to realize that, because just because they look like they're doing well, that really doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why you have to have that communication. Me and my wife worked on our communication for years. My wife has a prior suicide attempt. Thank God it wasn't successful. That was before her and I were together. And that's just kind of where the abuse and everything kind of came to its head. But you have to realize that, especially women that have been, in abusive relationships. I mean, as a male, not to sound sexist, but as a male, it's our job to make sure they never feel like that. We're the protectors. We're not supposed to be the abusers. That's our job. And that's, anyways, I come from a traditional family, so that's kind of how we look at things. And so the last person in the world that my wife needs to think who's going to hurt them is going to be me. Like, I should be the very last. I mean, out of a million things that could happen to her, I should never be on that list. And the problem is that when that's not the norm, you have to really kind of completely rebuild how they look at relationships. They've never really had that before. And it took years. I mean, we've had a couple separations over the years, and finally that last one, and I wouldn't quit. I'm like, listen, like, it's not what you think. Like, let me show you. It took her almost 3 years to look at me in the eyes and tell me that she trusted me. It took 3 years for her even to trust me. We're sharing bank accounts. We live under the same roof, talking about family, the whole 9 yards, but she did not have that trust. It takes a long time. You have to be patient. You have to be understanding. You can't get frustrated at it because, that's just how it is, and instead of adding to the problem, you need to say, okay, how can I solve this? Like, how can we move forward on this? How can I help you with this? Everybody has their little things, and something like that's a mental issue. I mean, you need to have patience. If that person's worth it, you'll have the patience to go through with it and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I know for me personally, I've never been somebody who, I've never done drugs. I never went that route. Food was my go-to. And over the years, when I was in the abusive relationship, yes, I had medical issues as well that I didn't know until probably 2 years before that relationship ended. But food was my escape from everything. Mm-hmm. And for years, I was told, oh, you don't know how to cook. I don't even know why you cook. For a year, I had to make chicken every single night. It had to be on the table at a specific time. If it was even a second late, I would get beat. I, for a year, was grounded from food, because I wasn't doing things right. And then when I was able to sneak food, because I needed food to survive, he
Mhm.
wanted me weak. When that year was over, I had to sit on the floor like a dog and eat. I couldn't, I couldn't sit at the table because I was disgusting to look at. So I had to sit on the floor to eat like a dog. Our
Mhm.
dog was treated better than I was. And in my head, I fight it every single day that I know I'm better than that. But at times, it's such a hard thing to overcome because I still hear his voice sometimes in my head.
Mhm.
And I know Tommy would never do anything like that to me. Tommy has encouraged my cooking. When him and I met, I made TV dinners, pizza, and anything that was quick that I could just throw in
Well,
the
something that you weren't held accountable to because you didn't cook it. It was a packaged meal. So
right,
you're not going to get punished if it's not good.
right. And
No, that's
so and
incredible. That's
that was
incredible.
after the relationship had ended. I had to go into hiding for 4 years. During that 4 years, I moved constantly because he would find me. There was a 4-year restraining order. He would walk through that restraining order. I wouldn't be home, and he would go into my where I lived, and he would call my so-called friend and tell her what my apartment looked like, where I was staying looked like. And I would have to immediately get up and move because he wanted to kill me. He took a baseball bat to my face, which is a whole different topic that I'll talk about at a different time. He was trying to kill me. And food was the only way that I could escape things. And when it's taken away from you for something that you have no idea why, and then all of a sudden, years and years later, you still have that voice that's saying, no, you need to hide this food, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it's a struggle. And there are things that are going to come out during these shows that I'm doing for to help other people about myself that even Tommy probably doesn't even know, because I don't remember everything that I have told him. But he does. He encourages my cooking. One of the things that I was told was one of the most disgusting things that I have ever made was spaghetti, homemade spaghetti. Tommy loves it, and my kids love it, and they beg for it. And so that makes me feel good. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, are they just trying to be?
Or are they just trying to make you feel good?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's just what I've gone through, and I have a lot of baggage, and Tommy knew that. And Tommy's done a lot of research. Mr. Pickles, you're fine. I'm okay. I'm okay. He's squawking because he can hear that I'm upset. I'm
I
all right.
suppose for you, if you hear that stuff so much, then obviously you believe it, and then
Oh,
it's
yeah.
trying to remember that is the lie. What everything he said was the lie. You know what I mean? And obviously, because you're now in a great relationship, and obviously you've got
Mhm.
lovely kids, you know, they do genuinely love you cooking. You know what I mean? But that
Oh,
little niggle is coming back all the time. But you're getting there though, and yeah.
Oh, and that's the brain working against itself too.
yeah, it's a
I mean,
constant
things
fight.
are too good. Something has to be wrong.
Yeah.
This is too good. These people are too good to me. Like, what's the real reason why they're doing this? And that's something that me and my wife worked on. And I know it's kind of a harsh term, but I use the term self-sabotage, to where if things are going good, there must be something wrong. And so you really start obsessing, and especially when you have OCD, which I believe, Des, you were saying that you have OCD.
That
Or,
I don't know. I
oh,
actually,
you don't? Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I know that I got to go to a psychiatrist, a new one, because the one that I had left. And Tommy believes that I've been misdiagnosed on a few things.
Okay.
And so I have to go in and get another evaluation done to find out exactly what it is.
Okay.
I do have PTSD, I have severe anxiety, I have depression, but he thinks there's more going on than what the other doctor had diagnosed me with.
Yeah, because OCD is typically kind of part of that mix. They all kind of play off each other because that's really similar to what she has. But the bad thing about her OCD is because, again, her mind kind of works against herself. She was in that relationship for 7 years. She was in that for a long time. But with her OCD, she then starts obsessing about finding the bad. And so she'll find something that she can kind of misconstrue as being a negative, and it becomes her life. It literally consumes her. It's really something I've never seen before in real life. It's insane to see how it works. But that's something, and when she started kind of realizing it, and I'm like, hey, when you start seeing yourself do that, like, let's talk, like, tell me what's going on. Don't bottle it in and then have this thing fester into being something that's uncontrollable. Your keys. Oh, matter of fact, here, my wife's gonna say hi real quick. There's the wife.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
She's heading to the gym right now. The keys to the Explorer should. Oh, gym bag. She was my gym bag, babe. Sorry, honey. But yeah, that was kind of something that she started. And once she kind of started realizing she was doing it, she can try to focus on other things, but it's still really hard for her, because I mean, she's fighting against programming,
Yeah, and when I think of OCD, I think of clean people, like people who are like clean freaks. I don't want to call them freaks, but like I don't know if there's other forms of OCD.
But there is. That's the crazy, because she's not very clean. She gets very, very, very messy. Either. But the reason why she's like that is because she can't focus on it, because she's obsessing about something else. Mm-hmm. She's obsessing about maybe a text message or what somebody posted on Facebook, or the pictures on the walls are not how she wants them, or whichever. And so again, it's not just, and I know that's kind of a typical thing about like the clean freaks at home, if that's where their attention is derived to. But it also, if their attention is, say, she was a model, bikini competitor. That's how we met. We both competed. And so she was obsessing about her weight and her looks, because that's what she did. So that consumed her. Nothing else in the world mattered besides her looks, always done up perfect at all times. And it made the relationships worse, because a lot of the guys that she was with were with her because of her looks. So she had to be trophy all the time. And so that consumed her, and nothing else mattered to her. That was it. And it was complete obsession. And then when something else comes up, then they obsess about that, and to where, bills don't get paid, dishes don't get done. I mean, any of the house chores don't get done. They have a hard time working because they can't focus on their work, because they're focusing about this one thing. It just completely zeroes them in. And it could be anything. OCD is more than just that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I had a friend who had OCD, and it wasn't to do with cleaning, it was to do with locks and light switches. So she would lock doors, but then she'd recheck that she'd locked the door about 20 times in a day.
Yeah.
It would be the same with the switches, plug sockets as well. They all had to be off, and if there was anything on that wasn't being used, then she would have to switch it off. And it would just, it consumed her life in the fact that she was doing these things 20 or 30 times in a day.
Yeah, probably leaving places to come back to check the doors are locked before they go somewhere else.
She would be in the middle of the supermarket doing her shopping, think that something was switched on or some locked door wasn't locked, and she would literally leave her shopping and go home.
That's
and then
incredible.
To turn it off and check. And she couldn't then focus on the shopping that she was doing, because that's would be all that would be going through her head. And so it basically doesn't really matter what it is. It's anything that you do compulsively and obsessively, really. So
I have to have things unplugged because I'm afraid it's going to start a fire. So I have to always constantly check this, make sure that this is unplugged or that's unplugged. If I like, I don't know how to explain it because it's weird. Like our coffee maker, like if we leave, I'm like, got to turn the heater off downstairs. You got to make sure the coffee pot's unplugged. You got to make sure this is unplugged. And then we'll leave. And I know all this stuff is unplugged or off, but we'll leave. And I'm like, oh, did I leave the burner on? Did I unplug the coffee maker? Like it goes like in my head.
Yeah, that's pretty normal though. I mean, that's pretty, I mean, so the people that have like the true OCD, they can't leave the house because something may be unplugged. No matter how many times they check it, they will not function. They can't go and do something. They can't leave because what if that wasn't unplugged? I mean, it's really debilitating. Matter of fact, I watch a Discovery Channel because I was learning about OCD because that's what she has. So I'm trying to educate myself on it. And I watched this incredible Discovery Channel documentary on OCD. And this kid, I mean, he was like in his late teens. It was about shutting of doors. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but the kid, they would go somewhere and the kid would shut the door like 20, 25 times over. And if it didn't shut just right, he couldn't leave. And then he'd leave and then he'd come back and it has to sound and feel exactly how he wants it or that it's not done right. And just completely debilitating. And then they go to the house and he'd sit there and he'd open and shut the front door before he even goes in to make sure it opens how he wants it to. And then when he comes in and shuts it, it has to shut how he wants it to. And just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times a day. It was, I've never seen nothing like it. I've never seen nothing like it.
Yeah, see, Tommy's done a lot of research on the things that I've been diagnosed with mental health wise. And he's not used to it. He wasn't used to it when we got together. I mean, he's got friends that he knew that had mental health, but he never really was with somebody who had mental health issues. And so he's done a lot of research and he's helped me come as far as I am now. But That's relapse. When I go backwards, it's really hard for him to understand why that happens. And I get it. And a lot of times I feel like I'm this big burden and I don't want to put my family through this. And it's hard because I'm waiting for, my biggest problem is I'm waiting for the day that he packs his bags and he leaves. He just leaves.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know what to say to that. Honestly, I mean, that's a fear, you know, I mean, I'm afraid of it. My wife's my best friend. I'm always afraid. And we have a new baby. We have a 5-month-old now. And yes, yeah, thank you. It's been cool. We tried for a long time. It's been a long time in the making. And so that's kind of always a fear, but you know, you can't live in that fear. You know, one of the things that I would teach people, because I was a personal trainer for a while, which a lot of people come in and they just want somebody to talk to. So I've heard a bunch of different life stories. But one of the big things that helped a lot of people, especially with their weight, because weight's a big deal to a lot of people, you know, not only just health-wise, but confidence-wise, relationships, you know, the whole 9 yards. But it's like, celebrate your small victories. So be proud of how far you've come. Even if you take 3, 4, 5 steps forward and take 2 or 3 steps backwards, you're still further than where you were. You know, so just don't, I mean, as long as you're making forward progress, don't beat yourself up over it, you know, and don't live in fear that you're going to lose everything, because that right there it has to contribute to your anxiety. That has to contribute to your anxiety big time.
Oh yeah. And it does. And, you know, it's in my head, I feel like I'm in an MMA match with myself, and I'm kicking my own butt, and I don't know which way to go or which way to turn or how to defend it or block it or get rid of it and win. And I do like MMA. I don't know all the people that like box or whatever, you know, and do that kind of stuff, but I do like watching it, just like I love watching hockey. But don't ask me any questions about hockey, because
it's just entertaining.
It's just, I love it. And so my brain, personal, you know, for me, my brain likes to shut off. And so, like, I have my shirt on today that says, "My brain is giving me the silent treatment today." And I was hoping that it, I like little quirky sayings like that. And it kind of makes me chuckle with everything that I go through on a constant basis, and Tommy should be here hopefully before the live ends, so he can kind of spill some beans on some things that he's, feels and goes through when he deals with me and stuff when I go through an episode. But he's with the kids right now. They had a meeting thing that they had to go to, so. And Joy says, I understand I keep waiting on my husband to throw up his hands and divorce me since I've changed so much mentally since my son's death. And that's the thing. And I'm sorry for your loss. I really am. It's never any good to lose somebody like that. And I personally feel that my kids should bury me before I bury them. And so with that, much love, my friend, much love. And if you need anything, reach out to me. Otherwise, virtual hug. I'm giving you a hug, girl. Giving you a hug.
Nana Tink Treasures brought up a really good point. This is something that helped me beat my addiction. I was extremely addicted and homeless, and I kind of had a rough upbringing. And I relapsed again when I got back from Iraq, my last tour. And like she was talking about addressing the chemical imbalances. And so, because of being a former addict or whichever, I'm kind of an extremist on a lot of things. I take things to the extreme. And one of the big reasons why bodybuilding, in my opinion, saved my life was that when I got off of drugs, I needed something to fill that space. Something needed to replace it. And so because of the extremist mentality that I have, I decided to go into bodybuilding, which was pretty much the exact opposite of being a meth user. And again, like I said, the sport saved my life. I have much respect for the sport. I don't have a lot of respect for the sport's going now, but when I was in, it was pretty decent still. But one of the things, because I have really bad anxiety. My anxiety is I don't feel like I'm ever doing enough, and I don't feel like I'm ever good enough. And that's, I'm a workaholic. Like I said, I retired at 30. I don't have to work. I don't have to do anything. I'm set. I'm done. And I still put in 14 to 16-hour days, at least 6 days a week. And that's my work-life balance is completely out of whack. That's something that my wife's helping me with. But I have to be doing something and making money, even if I don't need to be making money. I need to be doing it, because if not, I don't feel like I'm being a man. I don't feel like I'm being a provider. I feel like I'm not going to be a good role model. And so there's a lot that comes to it. And so one of the biggest things that helped me is that I believe in self-reflection. Self-reflection is huge with me. And so I'll typically do some kind of meditation, or even just laying down in the shower or sitting in the shower or whichever for a half hour, 45 minutes, just to reflect what happened throughout the day. How did I handle things? What's going on? What's my plan? Where am I at? All of that really helped me, but also going to the gym and trying to take care of myself without using alcohol and drugs is something that helps me, especially the first thing in the morning. I wake up, I get a little bit of pre-workout in me, a little bit of caffeine. I go in, I get my exercise in, I get the juices flowing. It makes you feel a little bit more productive. I get out, I start my day. And so that kind of gets all that negative energy out, or all that anxiety or whichever. And so when I come back from the gym, I know that I've accomplished something that 80% of society doesn't do in their lives at all. So I'm already kind of accomplished there, right? Like I'm doing something positive. And I believe in the Chinese proverb of Kaizen. I believe in Kaizen, which Kaizen basically means that I'm going to improve one part of my life by 1% every day. How can I get 1% better some way in my life during a day? So you're not you're not like bombarding yourself and demanding too much of yourself, but you're still able to inch forward. And if you improve 1% a day, that's 365% a year. That's a huge improvement. So what can I do? What can I do with my company? What can I do to better my environment? What can I do to better, my child's upbringing, or how I treat my wife, or my fitness, or whichever? Like where can I improve something? And so when you have these little victories, every morning's a little victory. It's like, yeah, man, I went to the gym and we're good to go. And I feel pretty good. All right, man, let's get to work. Let's do this. So I'm already kind of starting off in a good way. So there's not a lot during the day that's going to make that a bad day, because I've already had like a small victory to start off my day. And I think that right there, because again, no matter how, domesticated or how intelligent we get, we are still a mammal. We are still an animal, and animals do like getting rewards. And so if you reward yourself and you create that link that, hey, I did this, so I'm going to do this. And so it just kind of rewires you a little bit to think a little bit more positive and be a little bit more proud of who you are. That's my philosophy, anyways.
So, what do you guys do to help Heather, or what do you do to help Heather when she's having a rough time?
Oh, good question. It's not I try and always be helping her. It's like I said, it's constant. So, I notice usually before she does that she's headed down. She rarely gets manic. She's mostly depressive. So, I can start seeing those tendencies to start happening. And, the problem is it's not always the same fix. It's not something that's easy to say, oh yeah, when this happens, I do this. No, it doesn't work that way. It's very, to the, let's see, how do I say it? It's, different for each time. So, she'll start heading down, and I can tell by her sleeping habits and her, things like that. She's not a good sleeper. So we just try and kind of hold on, and hope and let her know that, usually it gets to a point where it's like, okay, she freaks out, and then I'm like, okay, are we ready to go look at your medication issues again? Is this a one-time thing, or is it a long term? Have you been having troubles for a long time, or is this a spike? If it's a long-term thing, then we kind of go adjust medicines and medications and stuff. If it's just a spike, everybody has those.
Right.
It's hard to judge sometimes. So I can tell them, huh? So Heather said I can tell them. So we deal with it as it comes. It's really tough to, all I can do is try and be supportive all the time.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating too. That's something that I deal with Angela as well, is I'm very analytical, and my emotional intelligence is not very good. I am not emotionally intelligent. So
Me either.
yeah, I have a hard time with that, because I am analytical. I am very left-brained, like to a fault. I'm very analytical. I'm all about numbers. I used to be an auditor for the state of California. At the executive level, I look at numbers, profit margins, CTR, CPM, CPV. That's how my life is. And so when you're trying to solve a problem and you're trying to go based on trends or behaviors or patterns, and it really confuses the logical mind. You have no idea what to do, because the solutions don't make sense. Because like, okay, well, if this has worked every time and this doesn't work now, well, then how did it work every other time? Like how do we go from there? And so that's something my wife is helping me with. And there's that time she goes, I don't want you to solve the problem. I just want you to hear me. I just want to talk to you. You don't need to solve anything.
Those exact words to me before. So
yep. She goes, I'm not looking for a solution. I just need to talk. Just let me go. Let me vent. Let me blow up. Let me be mad. Let me cry. Just don't say anything. Just be there. Just let me do this. And to me, I'm like, okay, thank you for telling me. And so sometimes there's not a solution. It's just a thing. It gets confusing.
Oh, it is. It's very hard. I run a calibration lab, so everything I do, I'm a troubleshooter. That's my job.
Yeah, totally analytical.
It's always been my job. I was, I used to be a machinist, and so my job is to fix things. So that's something I've had to learn with Heather, is that, again, like you said, she doesn't want me to fix it. She doesn't want me to tell her how to fix it. She just wants to vent it and get it off her mind And then, she can either work on fixing it herself, or there is no fix. It's just, I got to get rid of this. I always think of it as like a soda pop bottle that you shake up. Eventually you got to let that go, otherwise you'll explode. So and people vent different ways. Whether it's food, or again drugs, alcohol, sex. Or just anger. Everybody has their way of venting off that undue pressure. That excess pressure. So. When you say, what do I do to help Heather? Well, I just kind of try and not let her get too far out before we do something about it.
And that's that communication, having that trust,
yeah.
Having them to be able to be vulnerable, because a lot of times in my experience is that the women that are having these kind of issues, they don't want to say anything because they don't want to be judged. They're like, oh, I don't want to seem like I'm this crazy chick to this guy. I don't want to lose him, like what they're saying on this panel, and so they're completely vulnerable, to be judged, to be looked at in a different way. And that's a tremendous amount of trust for them to open up and say, here's my wounds. This is what I'm dealing with. This is who I am. This is what I think. I know I'm screwed up, but I need to talk to you, or I need to open up. And when you say, no, you're not, like, that makes sense. I can see how you're like that because of X, Y, Z. Well, let me try to show you how I am as a person and how I see it, and how I think that you and I can work together to beat these demons or keep these demons at bay. And we're a team. You're not alone anymore. Like, it's us. Like, you're not fighting this alone anymore. Let's do this. Let's pick up our swords, pick up our shields, and let's go kick some ass together. We'll get this done.
Exactly. And that's the thing. That's why I started this, is because, so I lost my spleen last year. I almost died in May, and it literally exploded. And so when I got out of the hospital, it was, everything had changed. Everything in my life had changed. And my mental health, which I thought I had under control, all of a sudden just went into a spiral. And so it got to the point where I was like, well, I'm on YouTube. Let's see if there's anybody out there that is talking mental health. Maybe I can get some relief or some help to figure out how to control it. There was nobody. It was doctors and counselors. And then the people, I can't really say nobody. Nobody dedicated a channel to it. There were people that talked about it in 1 or 2 episodes. That was it. And then you're like, well, how do they deal with it? What do you do? I need help here. I'm going to lose my mind. And I felt like I was going to end up in a mental institution because I couldn't wrap my head around what was going on. And so all the demons that I thought were gone came rushing back, and all the things of, this and that, it was too much. And then I have this foot-long scar going down the front of my body, and there's nothing I can do about it, and it's disgusting. So like all these things just went poof, and there was nobody. Tommy sat with me for, I don't even know how long. We were looking and searching and searching and searching, and there was nobody. And Tommy looked at me, he's like, there's nobody. He's like, I don't know what to do at this point. And at that point, I didn't want to go to the doctor and say, hey, my mental health is acting up again. And he was like, well, why don't you just dedicate your YouTube channel to this? And so I did. I set up a live, and I called it coming out of the closet. And it brought in a whole different crowd than what I was trying to, to let everybody know. And then all of a sudden, my normal people that are sub to me, my friends, they came on, and when I spilled beans about myself, I told them I struggle with mental illness, and it's a struggle, and this is what's going on. And that was when everything kind of shifted for me. And then it became too much and overwhelming. So I stopped YouTube for a while. I was supportive in chats and I would come on other people's channel, but my personal channel, this channel, I was like, did I do the wrong thing? Did I just cause myself to, like, did I mess up? Did I just do something I shouldn't have done? Did I open up a can of worms that I can't close the top to? And then Tommy was like, no, you really need to do something with your channel and talk about mental health. So I was like, all right. So the first of the year, the first Saturday of this year, I started this mental health chat, and it took me a bit to like figure out exactly how to go about it, but I want people to know that they're not alone anymore. They are safe here. There's no judgment. There's a warmness and a happiness and a love that they're not going to get if they don't, if they don't admit to themselves that there is an issue, if that makes any sense. Sometimes my words kind of get mixed up and I use the wrong words or I explain it wrong, but I want people to know that I'm here. I struggle. I'm a normal person.
Wait a minute. You're not normal. You're not normal. No.
I think when you're going through mental health issues, you think you're the only one and you feel so alone that obviously doing this and letting other people know that they have them feelings and they have them fears and they have them anxieties and they have them issues, whatever they are, and also that can change them and move forward and have a life.
Yeah.
You're far from the alone.
It's amazing, and it's
Everybody
really
has.
Exactly.
Well, I don't think the mythical. Go ahead. I'm sorry you delayed a little bit. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say I'm going to have to jump out because my car is due. So, but thank you very much for letting us join. And
thank you so much. Great. Much love. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. I'll speak to you all soon. I'll jump in the chat until they're here anyway. So, all right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Great meeting you.
It was awesome.
And you. Bye.
Bye.
Well, I don't think the mythical normal person exists.
Yeah.
I don't think there is such a thing as normal. There's average, but there's no such thing as normal in my opinion.
No, and I think that's what people need to realize is that you're not alone. There are many people that have similar problems to you or close. Like you said, there is no normal. Everybody's just a different degree of something. You're a different degree of OCD or a different degree of mental health or depression. I mean, everybody has a little bit of that in them. It's just what comes out at the time. So, and just knowing that people are out there going through the same battle as you, that they're dealing with it, and finding out ways that they're dealing with it versus the way you've been dealing with it. Because sometimes there's something you can say that may help somebody else. That's something they haven't thought of.
Yeah, because and that's the struggle for me too is, I've tried all these different things to help like pull myself out of an anxiety attack or, try to get my head on straight. And the things that I've tried doesn't always work. So I want to, reach out and be like, hey, anybody else having this issue? And how are you dealing with it? How did it help you? I need ideas. I need help here, And one thing that I have a strong struggle with is motivation. I don't know how to correct that because, motivation and mental health, it kind of goes in together. And when your mental health is haywire, your motivation is going to be haywire too. And so right now I'm struggling with being motivated. I've never ever kept myself accountable for anything when it comes to following through. So for me, I scheduled out my lives every Saturday out until March, because for me, it felt like if I schedule it, it's out there. I have no choice no ifs, ands, or buts or excuses not to be on. So
Public accountability is extremely strong.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, if you have friends that can then help you be accountable just by yourself, and I know you have a great support structure. So,
I do.
Like you said, put things in place that you need to make it work for you.
Yeah. And so like with the Wednesday premieres that I started doing, I was sick this week, and so I wasn't able to put one out this week. But I think what I need to do is, because I tried to go based on what the chat is saying too for my premiere for that Wednesday. What are they really, talking about, asking questions about? And if I don't know the answer, I'll do the research and I'll pull up the articles. I'll show what I found and give examples of things, how it's affected me and what I've done to try to help correct it. And then there's times too where, like with bipolar, I don't know bipolar. And so when Heather and them were on and they were talking about their bipolar, I was like, wow, that's, I didn't know. I don't know what all the mental illnesses that are out there that can affect people. I just want people to know that I'm here. I'll listen. I'm a shoulder to cry on. If you need to just call me in the middle of the night and just like vent, I'm here. If you don't want to do it face to face, it's okay. You can email me. I'll talk with you in email. My email is always in the description. And I strongly believe that if you feel suicidal and you're not ready to talk to anybody, at least call the 1-800 number that is also in my description, because they will help. Don't do it alone. Don't struggle alone. And I personally don't know a lot of people like in my outside of YouTube that struggles with mental health. So I always felt like I was alone. And when you do kind of open up, you are vulnerable. It's like ripping that Band-Aid off a fresh wound, and the air is hitting it. And it is a struggle, but at the same time, in order to move forward, you have to admit to yourself that there's an issue. And now, I knew there was an issue. I didn't want to admit there was an issue, but I knew. And when I ripped that Band-Aid off and I came out on my channel about my mental health issues and my struggles, the support I got was overwhelming. And
most people suffer silently, I think.
A lot do.
Problems, but most people either hide it or realize, like you said, you're an emotional island. You feel like nobody has this problem, so there's something wrong with me. Most people suffer in silence, and it's a great thing that you've done here to give an open forum to people and say, you know what, you don't have to suffer in silence. We're not going to judge you. We all have problems.
Well, especially in the military community. Me being a veteran, I was 4 reconnaissance. I was a cavalry scout, 19 Delta, and I was 11 Bravo infantry. We're the tough guys. And I still have that ego to this day. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm in competitive sports and I went and played football. I'm an aggressive physical man. That's how I've always been. And so when you talk about mental health, especially to, guys that I was served with, guys that I played ball with, guys I competed with, nobody talks about it because it's weak. It's considered weak. There's still a huge stigma.
Very much a big stigma against it.
And the problem is that's resulted. I've had 7 of my soldiers since I came back in Iraq in 2009. I've had 7 of my soldiers commit suicide, and that's been in 10 years. So there obviously is an issue. The problem is that with the male ego, and I have a male ego, a lot of us do. The first thing we got to do is admit it. And then next is that you need to talk about, here's a powerful thing about talking about why I wanted to come on today, and why, when I'm going to be writing my first book, probably in the next 2 years, that's going to be addressing some of this, especially when it comes into business and being an athlete. And there needs to be more of us that talk about it. There needs to be more people that hear this. And so, with Mothership products, for example, you may appeal to an audience I would not appeal to. I may appeal to an audience that you don't appeal to, and so we're at least getting the same message out to our communities, to our sphere of influences, and expand. There needs to be more people that are comfortable talking about it. And so I'll bet you money, Des, I will bet you money that you have people that are in your local sphere of influence that's not on YouTube that struggles with mental health just won't talk about it. I'll guarantee it.
Guarantee
Well,
They will never
as
talk about it.
as a matter of fact, with you saying that, I have a group on YouTube or on Facebook. I apologize, on Facebook, where it's called Mental Health Safe Place. It's a group. It's a closed group, and I had sent some requests out to some of the people on my Facebook page that I know personally. And I thought maybe, like, I was going through and I was looking at their names and I was like, well, I have a feeling that this person might like it. So I went through my friends list and I sent out the request. And then I put on my Facebook, if you received a message to join a group, it is my group. I did send that request. And all of a sudden, somebody that I know, that I've known for years, made comments on there, and she asked what kind of group it was, and I was like, talking about mental illness, and it's a support page, and she's like, I was like, do you want a link? She's like, yes. And I started talking to her privately, because I didn't want her business all out there. I will never, if anybody comes to me and talks to me, you rest assured, I am not going to go and spread it. Your words, your feelings, your expressions are going to be safe with me, because it's not anybody else's business.
Correct.
Nobody else's business. And I'm not going to throw you out there and say, oh, did you know that so-and-so did this or that or said this? That's not how I roll. That is not me. I would never want somebody to do it to me, and I'm not going to do it to anybody else. And so she messaged me, though, and she's like, I needed this. She's like, I needed this. And I'm like, well, you are more than welcome to join. Anytime you need me, you know how to get a hold of me. And she's like, thank you. And I'm like, yeah, not a problem. And that's the thing. I didn't know that she struggled. I had no idea until I put that post up, and then she reached out to me. And I have had a lot of people reach out to me. And you look at somebody, and I know this with everybody, you look at them and you automatically judge. Okay. And I don't mean negative or positive or anything like that. You look at somebody and you're like, and then you find something out like this and you're like, I would have never thought. I would have never thought in a million years that this person suffered from mental illness. And so it blew my mind. And I was like, oh, okay. And I get embarrassed a lot too. I really do. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I had no idea, but thank you for trusting me enough to come to me and say, hey, thank you. Or, hey, I'm struggling with this. I needed this. And so I'm very glad that I was able to do something to help others, because I feel like the reason why I'm still here after my spleen, I had a 1% chance of walking out of that hospital, and I walked out of that hospital. This obviously is where my direction is supposed to be, because I had no idea why I was here. Had no idea why I was still here. I should not be here. I should not be sitting here, but God had a plan for me. And I think this is what it is, because when I do these, I feel good. Granted, it does trigger anxiety later, but it makes me feel like I have a purpose. And I've never had that before. I have children. I love my children very much. And I know that they are part of my plan. But I didn't have that feeling of being needed or wanted or have a purpose in my life. I didn't know what direction I was going. As borderline hoarders. Kimmy would always say, she's a hot mess. That's what I am. I'm a hot mess, you know? And so this helps me to keep my mind in the lane that it's supposed to be. Is that making any sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay,
And besides,
I feel like I'm not.
Reselling Addict said, you're really helping people and yourself. And I think that's another thing is I'm sure by doing this, you have learned a lot about yourself. And
Oh yeah.
a lot of times when you try and help somebody else, you know, you learn way more than what you're putting out. And that's a great, you know, a resource out there is that everybody, like I said earlier, has some issues, and somebody may have found a way to deal with something that you're dealing with. And you know, just being able to open this up, you, I'm sure, have learned and felt that love from other people.
I really have. Like so I was explaining before that I still have his voice in my head. Okay. And I have shared things that I've gone through with the abuse. And before I shared it, like that voice was strong. And then I shared it. I got it out there. I spoke out on what he did. And that one spot where he was constantly, like his voice was loud on one specific item, got like this to where I could barely hear it. And so for me personally, because I can't speak for everybody else, I can't say, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor, I'm just me. But for me personally, it's helped to where that it's shrinking that voice.
Yeah, sharing the load.
Yeah,
you know, spreading the
absolutely.
load, spreading that out there to have other people help.
And it's a type of therapy too. You know, I mean, have you ever met somebody that, you know, is really upset about something, really anxious, or they did something and they're beating themselves over, like, you know, I got to tell you something. Like sit down. I got to tell you. And they get it out and it's like, I did this. I'm so sorry or whatever. Right. And the other person goes, okay, like it's not a big deal. And they're like, oh my God, that's so, I've the weight lifted off my chest. But it's the exact same thing. Therapy works the exact same way, you know. And the really nice thing is that, you know, you're talking about this, you're getting off your chest, you know, you're coming to terms. Doesn't mean what happened was positive in any way. You're coming to terms, you're leaving that off, you're moving forward, and other people are there. There's that encouragement, there's that motivation. Like you're saying, motivation is difficult for you. Well, this right here, you're talking about, you know, this podcast, this community that I'm building is my motivation, it's my passion. I feel like I'm supposed to be here. So nice. There's that one nugget. So now you've got that on your side. And then you're going to start conquering another thing and then conquering another thing. And then all of a sudden you're going to be the coronavirus and you're going to be everywhere, right? You're going to be a good coronavirus, right? The Shamrock virus, right? But that's great. And that's all, again, it's small victories. You know, feeling like you now have purpose in life. I mean, you should be waking up every day going, boom, I'm here again. Like a 1%. I'm a 1%er. You know, you are. You're a 1%er. You're not supposed to be here. So now you need to wake up and be like and that's because, again, I've lost soldiers in Iraq. I've lost soldiers at home due to suicide. And so what helps me, and this might sound weird to some people, but what helps me is I wake up and I start getting ready. Sometimes I don't want to go to the gym. Sometimes I'm tired or whatever. I'm like, you know what? Every one of my soldiers that I lost would do anything to be standing here where I'm at right now, getting ready to go to the gym. Every one of them would love to have that opportunity back in their lives, to be here, to be with their family, to be with their friends, and to be alive. And so that is one of the biggest things that drives me to do. And now it is extreme. So that's why I'm very extreme when it comes to everything that I do, because sometimes it works both positive and negative. Where I'm in my head, I'm like, you know what? If these guys are here, these guys want me to do this. If these guys are here, they want me to do this, or they would want to do this themselves. So I'm kind of like, I'm like living for other people too. And that's probably when it comes to some of my coping with guilt and stuff like that over there as well. So I'm sure that's a coping mechanism, you know, but that's something that does drive me. And I've had a pretty good life because of it. I mean, not saying it's perfect. My work-life balance is very out of whack, but we are working on that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's it's awesome to get other people's perspective on the situation too, because when you open yourself up, and you're leaning on other people, a lot of times they have awesome advice, and you try it and it works, and then sometimes it's awesome advice but it just didn't work, and that's okay. It's okay to try things. It's okay, and it took me a long time to realize that as well, because when I got out of the hospital, I was in so much pain.
Oh yeah.
And it took a lot for me to have to take a pain medication, because I'm personally afraid any medication that I try to take, I'm afraid I'm going to get hooked on it. I don't like medications. I don't. And so, you always hear, oh, well, they started, they had an injury and they start taking pain medication, and now they can't get off and they're hooked on it. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing that. I lived through that pain. But there are so many times, and I've said it before, where I wish that I would not have made it through my spleen ordeal. And it is getting less and less now that I started this, because I feel like people want me around, where before, and my family, yeah, they want me around. I'm the mom, I'm the wife, I'm the one that takes care of them and stuff. But when I still, like, I wake up in the morning now and I'm like, I get excited for Saturdays. I've never been excited for Saturday. Like, oh, it's just the weekend. But I now wake up and I'm excited to do this. And so all week I'm like, oh, Saturday's got to get here. Saturday's got to get here, and so it's weird. I'm not used to it.
Nothing weird about it all.
No,
that's the joy of life.
Important.
Yeah.
It feels weird to me because I've never had that before. So it's like something I got to get used to.
It's incredible to be genuinely excited to be alive. It does. There was a study that came out that was talking about people that have more of a positive outlook, or people that appreciate things like life, like being alive. It actually rewires your brain to look at life in a more positive way. Like you'll deal with all situations, everything more positive, because you're more appreciative. So it allows you to. You just become more grateful for things. And when you're grateful, and when you're, when you look at the brighter side of life in general, it does something to you. And it's really hard nowadays because, negative things are all the rave. If it bleeds, it reads. That's how the media is right now. So if it upsets you, creates emotional response. If it's negative, if it gets people riled up, that is what everybody focuses on right now. So you really have to take it on yourself to reprogram yourself and look at things in a better light. But here's something, and I don't know if this is going to help you or not, but this is something just kind of listening to you. Just think, like you're like, sometimes I wish that I didn't survive that surgery. And so have you ever sat down and think that with your purpose here, have you ever thought that there's a very good chance that you will probably save other people's lives doing this? Like, there's a good chance that you may stop somebody from committing suicide by OD or going to drugs and fall off the wagon. There's a very good chance that your existence here will save multiple lives with you doing this.
Absolutely.
I never thought of it that way.
And so if you were to have died or take yourself away from the equation, suicide or whichever, not only would the world lose you, lose the beauty and lose the positivity and the good things that you're going to contribute to the world, but it also has a chain reaction. So multiple people could be gone. So that means multiple children are not born, either businesses or good things that were created out of that. It would be a huge chain reaction that could really influence how the world operates. It's a huge thing just with one life.
I never thought of it that way.
You know what? Heather came. We talked. She came and talked about on Rebecca's channel a while ago about being bipolar, and you never know who you're going to touch or reach with what you say, because she, when she came out and talked about it, first of all, it was Rebecca said, "What, you just talk about it?" And I'm like, "Well, we're not." She's not fooling anybody. She knows that she's got an issue. and she's not embarrassed anymore about it. I mean, there are things that can get in her way, but she ended up getting some feedback from people that was amazing. There was somebody that, I mean, she wrote a Darlene text, like,
Yeah.
It came back and the person said, I'm so thankful that you did this, because you talking about this being bipolar helps me to understand my son that he's 35. We've been dealing with this bipolar, and she didn't understand, and no doctor could explain it to her. Whereas Heather, just by telling her story, I mean, she wasn't, she's definitely not a doctor or anything like that.
Right.
Just her sharing her story helped this lady connect with her 35-year-old son again.
That's awesome.
And that was not her intention. She was just saying that, coming out and doing these things. So just like Jacob said, is you never know who you're going to affect, both positive and negative. So, if you say something negative, you don't know how that's going to affect somebody. But
yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You never know whose life you're going to change.
So here's a cool
stress on you there, Des. You look like you're uncomfortable a little. Like
that's part of my anxiety, and so I play with my hair, or I itch. Like sometimes I'll get itchy, and there's like no reason to be itchy, and then I fidget a lot. So it's not you guys, it's just how my anxiety is, and I do apologize.
So there's a mathematical equation. I've heard of this before. I wasn't exactly sure what the numbers were, but Mothership, you'll be able to understand this as well. It's a number called the Dunbar's number. So the Dunbar's number is what the average person, how many people the average person impacts in their lifetime. And with the data that it's shown is that the average person will touch about 80,000 lives in their lifetime. Will have some kind of impact on it. Now, again, this is an average person. This isn't somebody who's on a platform like you are.
Right.
I mean, think about that. If you look at like your data with a website or blog or like a YouTube channel, you have what's called impressions, and then you have what's called views. And so the impression is how many people are going to actually take a look at your thumbnail, or they see you through whatever feeds, ads, or whichever that your image is there. And so monthly, you're going to have hundreds of thousands of these impressions that people are going to see you. And either what you put on your thumbnail can motivate somebody, or based on your CTR, which is your click-through rate, they will actually come in and watch your stuff and just see you for a little bit. And so this isn't just the people that you're touching in your life, but also people that you're touching on like YouTube or your Facebook or whatever. So your number could be in the hundreds of thousands of lives that your story, that what you're doing right now is going to touch. That's hundreds of thousands of people that you have the potential of impacting in their life. Your one life, that one life that you did not think was significant, is going to be significant to them.
Yeah.
So wow. It's a lot of people. So yeah, the Dunbar's number is the average person is 80,000.
Wow.
So,
that was a lot of numbers.
That's a lot of people. And that's based on the life expectancy of 76 and a half years.
Oh, wow. I know when I was in the hospital, because I was in the hospital for 8 days. And I know that, like, I don't remember the first few days. I know it was very touch and go. But I remember when they moved me to a regular room, because I was in the CCU floor for 6 days, and then the last 2 days. So I was there for 8 days. So the last 2 days, the nurse would push me around in the wheelchair, and people would be like, "Hi," and I asked her, why is everybody waving and saying hi and giving me these big smiles? She's like, "Because you're a celebrity here." I'm like, "How am I a celebrity here?" She's like, "Because you survived something that you should not have survived." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know how to process like positive stuff. I'm working on it. And
You'll get there.
And it's getting better. It really is, but it's like getting better like this. It's very, very slowly, But I just want to make sure that people know that they're not alone. And I want people to know that it is okay to have the struggles, and you don't have to do it by yourself. I know I repeat myself a lot, and I am very sorry for that. And I do apologize a lot too. That's part of my mental illness stuff.
You know what? How dare you be human? Don't
Right?
dare think you're human.
That is unacceptable on YouTube.
Oh, okay. So Reselling Addicts asked me how long ago this happened. My spleen ruptured May 23rd of last year. So it's only been 8 months. And I actually was doing, like, because I was going out and scheduling my lives out. My 21st live of this show, which is a Saturday, it'll be the 21st week of doing this. It will be in actually 1 year since I almost passed away. And so we're going to do something special that day to celebrate. So
that's awesome.
Do something special every day. I mean, you don't have to wait until a year. I mean, the fact that you're surviving.
I do, but like I want to do something special on my channel to celebrate that I'm still here, that it's been 1 year. And because I didn't realize, like, there was an auction that was held for us right after I got out of the hospital. And there were people that I had no idea knew who I was that were talking about what happened to me. And you get the fake people that do their thing. But I think 98% of the people that were at the auction that messaged me personally were sincere. Like, they were so sincere. I didn't know that that a lot of these people knew who I was. I knew who they were, but I felt that I was just this itty bitty little person that goes in, supports people. My saying is much love with the heart. That is what I do. And I would do that, but at that point, I didn't realize that people knew who I was. I mean, everybody, I guess, knows who the Pixie is now, but it's for a different reason. And so it's so crazy to think that even at that time, how many people knew who I was, how many people I had made an impression on. And now with this, you're saying that I could touch hundreds of thousands of millions of people. It's like, I don't know if I'm ready for
pressure.
No pressure at all.
We don't have a choice. I mean, you're going to do it anyway, so make the best of it. That's the way you got to figure it.
That's the thing.
That's whether you're trying to or not. That's just your sphere of
It's just the math. So. That's how we're, and that's how exponential growth is. Exponential growth is like that. Like if you take a look at marketing for business, one person's got 2 friends, those 2 friends got 2 friends, those 2 friends got 2 friends, and it goes on for infinity. Everybody, the universe is an intricate web. Everything is connected somehow, some way, by something. That's how it works. And so every human being is essentially connected to each other, just through whatever chain or whatever web that's
how many
there.
Different degrees of separation.
Absolutely. That's again the power of networking. That's the power. That's what marketing gets into on the business side of things, to exploit that web, to get more visibility, to get more consultative selling, get more rapport, the whole 9 yards. And that's life. That's how that works.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I never, like, when I went through the abusive stuff that I went through, never once did I ever stop and think that I would be sitting here in front of a camera on YouTube, being a content creator and trying to help other people survive. I never thought that. I really thought that I was going to die. Even back then, I was just waiting for that day to happen. And so, I survived. I don't look at myself as a victim of a domestic abuse. I no longer think of myself that way. I think of myself as a survivor.
Mm-hmm.
I survived it, and I'm going to continue to survive it no matter how hard it gets. And that's another thing, you know, when women and men, because men get abused as well, it's not talked about as much. Just like with mental health, men suffer, but you don't hear a lot of men saying, yeah, I suffer from mental
Correct.
illness.
Correct.
And it is, I feel it's very important that people understand that it's not just women who are affected, it's men too. It is men too. And I want people to know that it's okay to share your story. Once you get it out there, that's when I feel healing can begin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really do. I feel a lot of things, and I know I say I a lot, but I want, because I can't speak for everybody else. I can only speak for myself and how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So I figure if I um, say I did this or I went through this, maybe it'll reach somebody else too. Hopefully, you know, and like you said, I could have saved people already, and I just don't know. And
You probably have. You
I
probably have, honestly.
I really hope so, because you know, everybody has the right and should be happy to be here, no matter how messed up we are in here. You know, it gets better. It gets better.
As long as you take, yeah, as long as you take the steps to do it, you
Yeah.
honestly take the steps to do it, and you want to, you
Yeah.
know. And this goes, and I don't want to sound harsh, but you know, this goes to either when it comes to weight loss or getting financially independent or whichever. Some people stay in that stasis, and they'll complain about it, but they won't ever want to change it. And some
Right.
people will forever be a victim of something, forever.
Mhm.
They never want to change because that's where they get their attention. That's where they get, you know, their sense of being. And, you know, they want people to feel sorry for them all the time. So that's one of the first hurdles for a lot of people, is being like, you know what, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to have this over my head. I want to get better. I want to get stronger. I want to heal. I want to move forward. And so, you know, you wanting to do that's awesome. Some people, you know, it'll be deaf ears. They don't ever want to change.
Yeah,
Because
see,
that's their
and-
identity. That's who they are. I'm a victim. I'm always a victim. I'm
Yeah.
always a victim. Instead of saying like I'm a survivor, that's
Mhm.
a whole nother paradigm. You know.
And, you know, and it took a while too, because Tommy, in no way, shape, or form was he doing this to mess with my head or anything, but he would question me. He's like, because I was always negative, I was always angry, and I didn't understand why. And so I was always like, well, you know, I was abused. You know, I had that victim card that was smack in my face, you know, constantly.
And that's
he
the
would
easy
ask
way
me-
out. That is
Yeah.
the easy way out, to be a victim forever. And then that's it. And you'll never be happy. You'll never have happiness.
Exactly. And he would ask me straight out, he's like, why are we being a victim? Why are you acting like a victim? He's like, you're not in that situation anymore. And I'm like, but it's still affecting me. I don't know how to be any other way. And I would go through Facebook, which I don't go to. I'm not on Facebook as much as I used to be. Not since I started this stuff with mental health and everything and my YouTube channel. But I would go through my Facebook news feed or my Facebook feed, and I would see all these negative things. All these negative things. And then it would affect me, and I didn't understand why it was affecting me,
just
because it had
feed off
nothing to do with me.
You just feed off of it. And that's
Yeah.
social media is a plague in most ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I have watched society, I have watched us as a culture just take a no. I mean, millennials right now are not wanting to get married. They're super depressed. Everybody's victims. Everything's too hard. It's really affecting the mental health of the millennial generation, which is scary because they're coming into power the next decade. You know, and we are more depressed now than we have ever been as a culture. And I think that plays a very big role.
Hello, Sharking Mom Deals, or I don't know if I killed your name. I do apologize. Kathy, welcome. She said, being on YouTube, you never know when someone will do a search like you did and find your channel and watch that one video that
resonates.
Thank you. Resonates with them. I'm not a very good strong reader. Thank you.
Okay. We're a team here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what the gentleman were saying, that, you never know. And I lost my brother-in-law 3 years ago. And it was violently. And I think I struggle with it more than Tommy does. And I don't know why that is, because that was his brother, but I like get emotional and I don't understand it. And I don't understand why it happened, because he was really awesome. He would come up during the holidays and stuff like that. And when after that happened, he was supposed to come up for the holiday. I couldn't comprehend that he was gone, and it's still really hard to understand that he's gone now. And so I don't know if that's my mental health playing tricks on me. Does that?
No, I don't think so.
That's just being a human.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm betting that Tommy is dealing with it his own way. I mean,
yeah,
your way, but it's still in there. I mean, it's affecting him. He just is dealing with his way.
Yeah, you have to understand that we're all wired differently, not only as genders, but also as people. So it definitely affected him. But you can't go, well, there must be something wrong with me because he didn't deal with it the same way I did. You can't compare yourself to that because he's a completely different person.
Right, and he's a very strong person, and I wish, and I know this sounds bad, but I wish I was as strong as he is in a lot of things.
I mean, yeah, but there's probably things that you're stronger in than he is.
Yeah,
that's what he tells me.
He probably thinks, and sometimes, man, I wish I could feel it like she's feeling it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Because I know that one of the only things, as stupid as this sounds, one of the only things that I get emotional about is movies. As weird as that sounds. And I've actually researched that, and that's because with my mentality or how I am, I have it's really easy for me to put myself in, say, like a movie's shoes and the script and everything and appreciate it at that level. But it's weird because when my daughter was born, my first 4 months, I was completely impartial to her. I didn't have the baby didn't come out and I was like, oh my God. And all of a sudden I get just all these dad instincts. I didn't get that at all. I was like, yeah, I'll protect her. I'll make sure nothing will happen to her. I'll do my duty, keep a roof over her head, whatever I need to do and protect her. But I didn't have any emotional attachment to her at all. Nothing was there. And nothing was there until actually very recently. I started, kissing her and talking to her and whatever. There was just no connection. And just like what Mothership is saying, I wish I had what my wife had for that baby when that baby came out, because I probably missed on a few things. And now she's learning to laugh and doing a bunch of stuff, which is cool. But I mean, I didn't have any of that. And so sometimes I did wish I dealt with that situation at that level. So, I mean, it's yin and yang, we're different people. And typically you'll be more successful with somebody who is actually the exact opposite of you on certain things than you, because you can learn and you can grow and be a more well-rounded person in life.
Yeah, because me and Tommy are complete opposites, complete opposites.
Me and my wife are almost exactly opposite of each other. And it's the best thing I've ever had. It's the best relationship I've ever had.
It makes a great team.
Oh, yeah. You grow so much
just like me, man, that would be a very boring life.
Yeah.
Well, you get stagnant. You become ignorant because you can't see anything in a different way. So as a person, how do you grow? You can't grow with a carbon copy of yourself.
Yeah,
that's very true. And that's the thing. It's like Tommy is somebody that I personally would have never suspected of being in a relationship with. Like, because he's the tough guy. He's, you know, he's got broad shoulders. I mean, he's, there's just things about him that I just absolutely love. And then when he gets mad, it's like, I'm glad you're not mad at me. You know? And then here I am. When we first got together, I was very quiet. I didn't like speak my mind, and I just kind of was like in a little shell. And then one day he made the mistake of saying to me, I need your opinion. You need to start speaking. And I haven't shut up since. I tell
He's wishing that day never happened. Oh, what did I do? That can't work.
You know, and that's the thing. It was like he gave me permission. I guess inside I felt I needed permission to be able to speak my mind, because I was never allowed to have permission to do that. So it wasn't that he was giving me permission, like, yeah, you can talk, you know, tell me what you're thinking. It was like a light switch that he flipped inside me, and he was like, you need to start speaking, and you need to speak up for yourself, and you need to do this. And I'm like, it's on.
Well, it's kind of
screw that lid back on. Like, oh my god!
Right. He's like, man, I need to return that privilege.
Exactly.
You know, but the cool thing is that it's got to re-solidify a little bit of confidence inside yourself, saying, you know what, he appreciates my opinion. Like, I'm involved. Like because I mean, when you want to get somebody's opinion on something, especially, you know, important matters, there has to be a level of respect there. Because if you didn't respect, you would never ask. You would just do what you want to do, and if they don't like it, then whatever. There's a front door, right? And so with him, especially with you seeing he's a big, strong man, broad shoulders. He's a tough guy that's able to look at you and say, "Honey, what do you think? Like, what's your thought on this? What direction should we go? You know, am I making the right choice?" And you're just like, so now you guys are equals.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm used to being way back here, not here, you know, not parallel. So when he does that stuff, I'm just like, I get caught off guard. Even now, we'll be together on the 9th is our anniversary.
Congratulations.
And we've been together for 7, 8 years, something like that. I can't.
Wow, congratulations. There you go.
Because it seems like we've been together forever. And so we both forget how long we've been together for. It's not just him, it's me too. But it's, you know, even now he'll be like, well, this is what I found. What do you think? And I'm like, duh, I don't know. And I gotta like, hold on, let me think for a minute here, you know, and I gotta get my brain to kind of like fire up. And then a lot of times too, I still am like, well, whatever you think is right or whatever you want to do is fine. He's like, that's not what I'm asking you. And I'm like, oh, that means I got to think now, huh? And he's like, yeah. And so, you know, and then a lot of times too, people come over. We don't get a lot of visitors, but people come over. And one thing about Tommy that I think is hilarious is he'll start acting like he's yelling at me in front of people. And it took me a while to catch on to this, but he'll act like he's yelling at me, and he'll say things, and I'll look at him and be like, oh, really? And he's being funny about it. He's joking. And then I'll go back at him because I think he knows that, like, when people come over, I kind of like have those walls up. So he does that. It's really weird. It's like breaks the ice and stuff. And I'll go back and forth with them, and we're laughing, but these people probably think we're crazy.
Doesn't matter what people think. You're having fun with your man. Like,
oh
whatever.
Yeah,
me and my wife act like idiots, and we don't care. She's my best friend. I'm gonna treat her like my best friend. I mean, that's how we roll.
I gotta be careful when I go out in public with Tommy and Jasmine, our 12-year-old daughter. You know, those two, when they get together, they have people try to beat them up because they're going back and forth. And yeah, she's 12, and she gets people pretty good too. She's a mini him. I don't know if that's good or bad. She is such a mini me to him. I swear, the only difference between them is she's female and he's male. It's the only difference. Otherwise, they are so much alike. So
That's
much
awesome.
alike.
So I can't wait till my daughter gets older. I'm really excited for it.
Oh, yes,
I'm
you
pretty
can.
sure
You
me and
can.
the wife
You
are going
can
to
wait. Just enjoy your life until it gets to that point, because my daughter is 3 times the amount of work that my boys were. Once they
That's
get
what
older.
I keep hearing. I keep hearing the daughters are the challenges.
But it's wonderful. She's strong and oh, man, she just came out of the womb with this attitude that was from hell. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, how can that be in that little body?
It's probably payback for all the stuff you did as a kid.
Oh, shush. Yeah, probably true.
That's what I keep
that's the
getting
thing
told.
with me and Heather is I'm an introvert. I know it doesn't seem like that, but I really am. And if Heather didn't come into my life, I probably would be in a basement somewhere, coming out when it's at night.
Coming out like Gizmo.
I think the only reason I'm here is to help her learn how to spell. I'm her dictionary and she's my social butterfly. She takes care of the social aspect of life.
Oh, that's just like me and my wife. I'm a bit of an introvert. I'm not a huge people person. Just never have been. It's hard because I don't know, and I don't know if this is an ego thing or not, but it's really, and that's why I'm actually really glad that I started doing YouTube, is because having conversations like this, like intelligent, meaningful, deep conversation with people, is pretty much non-existent from what I've been able to see in society. And so it's hard to sit down with somebody and then afterwards, like, yeah, I'd like to sit down with them again. That was cool. I was able to expand and everything else. It's with the me culture, with the cancel culture and all that we're seeing right now. It's difficult. It really is difficult. And thank God for technology where we can come together like this, because I'd have never met you guys in real life.
Sure.
Probably never would have came across with you.
How often? I don't know. Where are you from, Jacob? What part of the country?
I'm originally from California. I'm in Colorado right now.
Oh, okay. See, and we would never have met. I mean, I'm in Utah, which is not far from you, but I'm sure our paths would never cross except for here.
No, I agree.
And then there's Destiny. She lives in Iceville, Wisconsin.
I was born in Florida, and at the age of 11, we moved to Wisconsin. So I live in Wisconsin now, and I can't wait to move out of Wisconsin somewhere else because Wisconsin is too cold. Like we had ice rain yesterday, or frozen rain yesterday, and today the sun is out, and then tonight we're supposed to get some more nasty stuff. And I swear Mother Nature is more bipolar than ever.
Yeah,
I can't make her mind up here at all.
Yeah, I spent.
Good point up though. She says you are in the basement, which is true. I am in the basement.
So. Nothing passes the wives, man.
Tommy, his setup is down in the basement. We call it the dungeon, and so when he goes live, he's like, "I'm in the dungeon again," and it's like. I mean, he knows how to do all like the green screen with OBS and all this other stuff, right? So he'll put up in the background on his green screen a dungeon.
Nice.
And I'm like, really? Like, seriously? People probably think that's really what our basement looks like, and it's not, But he's the social butterfly of us, and. As a lot of people probably would not suspect, I do not do well with people. I can't say now. Before, I was not good with people. I didn't leave my house. When I did leave my house, it was for doctors in the grocery store, and I was home, and that was it. When my kids were little, which I have said before in the past, when my kids were little, the only time they could go outside and play was when I made sure that there was nobody else outside. And then we would go outside and I would let them play. Somebody came out of their house or somebody came around, I was like, we got to go inside. We got to go inside. So, they
That's weird.
didn't have a good growing up because of my mental health. And my daughter, she's mouthy. Sometimes she knows right where to hit and get you
Oh,
good.
they learn that quick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
they
does.
know exactly what buttons to push and when to do it, and which parent to do it to.
Yeah, oh yeah, and I mean, she'll make snooty comments to me every once in a while, and it's usually about my mental health, and it's like I just like crumble, and then she'll realize what she said, and then she'll come apologize, and she won't repeat what she said. When being a girl, and I know out of me and my brothers, I was the easy one growing up. I was the easy one. My brothers were the pain.
So I bet you ask your parents, it's different.
No, actually, if you ask my parents, my mom has said that I was the easier of the boy.
Oh, all right.
My kids, they're equal pains in the booty. So I have a son and I have a daughter, and both of them are pains. But my daughter is easier to deal with than my son at this time, but they go through their stages. They really do. There's times where it's really hard to deal with my daughter and I can deal with my son. And then other times where I'm really glad that I have one of each, because when they get older and they have kids, they're going to be 10 times worse, just like my mom said to my brothers. Although I think my brother, it kind of backfired because I ended up with the trouble kids.
Yeah, no, it seems like a lot of people in the chat are having issues with social anxiety, and I'm right there with you. I mean, I get paid to go out and do public speeches once in a while with especially business conferences and stuff, and I go out and I do speeches to troubled youth programs and church groups and stuff like that because of my past. But with me, one of the reasons why I do have my social anxiety is because, like I was talking about a little bit earlier, my emotional intelligence. I'm just very low in that. I just don't have much of it. And so I'm very militant. So when I see something, I'll say it. And sometimes I don't say it the right way. Or if I'm presenting something, I'm very logical and factual, that there's going to be no emotional tone or feeling out the conversation. And I just don't beat around the bush. I don't like small talk at all. I don't enjoy small talk. And so it's like, okay, here's the mission in this conversation. I'm trying to accomplish this. And so that's where I'm going to go as efficient as possible, And so some people say that, I guess that's a tact that I lack or whichever, but I don't, if I'm in a social setting and I need to accomplish something, I won't feel I'm out for a half hour small talk and then get to it. I don't have the time. And so I'm there, I get the mission done and I leave. And so, or I exit the conversation and go to where else do I need to go. And so that can be abrasive to people. That can be cocky to people or whichever. And it's just how I am. So, just like I said, just never been a very super successful social person. It's more like a business. It's just like a business operation to me. How can I get my goal accomplished the most logical, efficient way possible, and then move on. So
that's very much a military thing too.
It's very military.
Efficiency is much more important than anything else. You can deal with it later. Get it done and then deal with the repercussions later.
Correct. And typically, and it's weird because there are repercussions of that. That does happen. People will, especially with society and with culture, it's, your first impression is always the best impression. You have between, 8 to 10 seconds to build your character up to somebody in business, which is really important. I worked in sales for a long time. So sales is extremely important, and how I would combat that was like, hey, I know you don't have a lot of time. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to, spend a bunch of time on someone that's not going to suit your needs. Let me see what you need. Let me see what your desires are, what you want to accomplish here, and then we'll move forward from that. So I was able to, and the people like.
Uh-oh.
I think he froze.
Yeah. Pause. Uh-oh.
He'll be back, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Oh, wait.
Oh.
Maybe.
Yeah, his camera glitched, and then all of a sudden he froze a few seconds later.
Yeah, my camera's been wigging out. I've never had this problem before, and it's a freaking $200 4K camera. So I'm kind of
blame it on the redheads. You know, the gingers,
that's
their fault. So
they can't handle the energy that hair is
two
putting out.
redheads on this panel, Dwayne.
Okay, I'll take the blame. It's all my fault.
I will have to say the most beautiful woman one of the most beautiful women that I've ever met in my life. She's next to we're really good friends now. We raised a daughter. It wasn't my daughter, but it's kind of my first trial with raising a child. And she's a natural redhead. And I tell you what, natural redheads, I didn't realize you guys are kind of like superhumans. You guys have a higher pain tolerance. It takes more drugs to knock you guys out. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that redheads.
Very true.
She has, I believe it was the most unique or the rarest combination, which was, I believe it's the hazel eyes and red hair, which is one of the rarest combinations. And she was a superhuman. It was because she had to go in. She had some heart issues, had to go in for some surgery, and they pretty much put what would knock out an ox into her because she wouldn't knock out.
Yeah, I have that same problem. It takes a lot more to do that, and I was in the Marine Corps, so.
Thank you for your service, man. I didn't know that.
I could drink a lot more too.
I think that they say that alcohol. Yeah,
it was just people are drinking. They're like they're trash, and I'm like, what? What are we doing here? I mean, we're not even there yet.
I think the alcohol absorption. Yeah, I think that is. I think that is a thing. If I'm not incorrect here, I'm gonna actually.
So.
Dwayne's casting stones.
Throwing down the gauntlets. Us redheads.
Yeah, I've had.
No, yeah, we are. We're supposedly the in all reality the biggest minority in the world is redheads. It's like a certain percentage of the population, and even less, anywhere else in the world, in the United States and in some Scandinavia and Ireland.
2%. 2% of the world population.
Exactly. So. Well, thank you for your service too. Even though you were in the Army, we'll let you slide this time.
Well, when I was doing the testing, I didn't like how crowns tasted, so I went to the Army. I couldn't live off of crowns.
Yeah. No, I just it's a military thing.
Well, I was not in the service, but I do come from a family of servicemen. So my grandfather was in the Navy.
Damn squid.
Okay, so they're the adult version of the Marine Corps. So that's good.
Oh no! I would just use them for a ride.
My biological father was a Marine. Then I have two brothers that were in the Army. I don't know exactly how that worked. So yeah, I do have family that was in the military. I also have family that are in the fire department, which I'm very proud of the fire department. It is very much something that I support. So
yeah, my brother's a firefighter.
My dad's a retired fire chief.
Oh, nice.
And my brother is on the fire department now, and he's working his way up to becoming fire chief. So very proud. Grew up with a lot of firemen, a lot of police officers, a lot of EMTs. So
very cool.
I get mad at people, like even here in town. Our town sucks, but it is what it is. It's where we live. And I always pull over when I see an emergency vehicle, and there's these people that don't pull over, and I'm like hanging out my window yelling at them to pull over.
Get out of the dang way.
Right.
Well, we're running into a big authority problem nowadays, especially in the United States. Yeah. People don't respect authority anymore. They don't. Mm-hmm. It's kind of scary. I mean, not to go doomsday or nothing, but it's scary to see where we're going to be in the next decade if things continue how they are.
I agree. We homeschool our children. And so it is more of you need to learn how to take care of yourself, relax types of homeschooling. They still do math. They still do, the things that they need to do to succeed, but it's more life skills. learning how to take care of themselves,
Which, yeah,
homeschooling, unschooling. And because my daughter especially was kicked out of class because she corrected the teacher on the American flag. You know, they're choosing not to teach children the way, you know, the truth about things. So we just pulled our kids out, and now they're learning how to take care of themselves, how to survive as an adult, and how to be an adult. So, you know, they don't do traditional schoolwork, but they do traditional schoolwork because when they cook, they have to use measuring, which is math, you know, chemistry on how to put everything together, and, you know, and all
home
that.
ec and all that.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah, well, it's, you know, it's not no longer school anymore. It's more like an indoctrination to go to be a dependent on the state. It's a welfare state. I mean, we're teaching kids are no longer financially educated at all. They don't know how to write checks. They don't know how to balance. They don't know how to balance checkbooks. They don't understand how money works. They don't know how to invest. They don't know how to do future projection. Home economics no longer exist. Kids don't know how to change tires. Kids don't know how to be productive. And so what happens is that the colleges now are having to teach kids things that they should have learned in high school. And it's all because of woke politics. It's all about woke education. It's quite sad. And the problem is that this has been going on for decades. And so now, you know, these kids are being brought to, like, you know what, I don't need to know these things because the government's going to take care of me. You know, I didn't know these things because somebody else is going to do it. There's no accountability. It's always passing the buck.
Yeah.
And that's a political agenda, in my opinion.
Right.
You know, it boggles my mind. I mean, on my channel, I'm a business and finance channel, and I have to explain to college kids how compound interest works, how a 401k is, you know, the law of 72, all these things that should be taught in basic economics, basic finance in high school. They have no idea. You know, it's like, what's your plans? Well, you know, if I don't work, it's cool. I got unemployment, or I got Social Security because of X, Y, Z, and I don't need to save up because Social Security is going to take care of me. It's like, have you looked at Social Security in the States? Like, it's probably not going to be there when you're there. You know, we're pulling out 3 times more than what should be right now. And the problem is that you've got people that are no longer paying into the system for Social Security, that there's not going to be much. The boomers are going to pretty much deplete all of that. And they should. They paid into it. Right. You know, now it's just, it can't keep up with demand anymore. So now we're pulling out of healthcare. We're pulling out of military. We're pulling out anywhere that we can to try to keep Social Security afloat. And it sucks because a lot of politics have pulled money out of Social Security to fund other things that were complete abysmal projects. In California, the bullet train, which was a huge failure, you know, millions and millions and millions over budget. You know, it's just, it's bad. It's bad. And these kids, they don't care. They don't look at it. It doesn't matter. It's not my problem. That's the thing. It's not my, well, it is your problem. You're coming into power. Like, you guys need to pass legislation to correct these things.
You know, Lisa brought up a great comment here. We hide the real face of depression for many reasons, but the biggest, I think, is we don't want to be judged by people, and we don't want to talk about it. It's easier to smile and fake it. And that is so true. I mean, that's why I'm thinking Des opened this forum, is so that there is no judgment, and you can talk about it, and you don't have to feel embarrassed. You know, it is easier to smile and fake it. It always is. And it's always going to be. But being able to talk about it when you want to talk about it and get some feedback from people that are not going to judge you, it's huge.
It is. And if you think about it too, you know, another reason why people fake it is because when, you know, back in the turn of the century, people were being locked up for the craziest, just stupid reasons, and it was called mental health. You know, that was what they used as mental health. And if you had any type of mental health issues, you were locked away. So a lot of people still think to this day that, oh no, we got to hide behind the wall. We can't share what we truly feel, for fear of being judged. And to me, that's not okay. we have to understand it in order to, help and try to fix it. And so, I've done research. I mean, when I first was diagnosed with mental health, I didn't understand it. I didn't even know how to research it, to be honest. Tommy's the reason why I know how to research things now on Google. I didn't know what Google was when him and I got together. I had no idea how to work a computer. I still have issues with computers, but it's no longer taboo. It can't be. It can't be there. We have to bring light to it so that we can help others. And it's not okay to shut it away anymore. In my book, it's not okay.
What causes more damage?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it
you're
really
just
does.
perpetuating the problem. Like you said, as generation over generation, you bottle it up and you move it to the next generation, it just gets worse and worse. And if it's never dealt with, it's just going to accumulate.
And that's really with anything. I mean, the problem is that you got a term mental illness, so that's already a negative, derogatory term. Nobody wants to admit that the people that are typically have true mental issues that aren't playing it for attention or whatever, they don't want to talk about it because, again, the taboo. And then you also got to look at a culture that's less and less and less compassionate. I mean, it's all about exposing a weakness. A lot of people go because they're miserable in their own lives. Like I said, studies are showing that this generation of this culture is more depressed and miserable than ever. And so people are going to use your shortcomings, your mental illness, and they're going to talk about it to make themselves feel better. They're going to inflate their own egos and be like, at least I'm not as screwed up as so-and-so. Or did you hear about so-and-so? Because they've got nothing going on in their life. They're miserable. So they're going to use that. Typically, bullies and trolls and people like that, they use people's disadvantages to bolster themselves up because they don't have any esteem themselves, and so that further makes people not want to talk about it, especially males, males in the time of day where, oh, I'm an alpha. Like it used to be, nobody walked around saying they're an alpha male all the time. Now I hear it all the time. I hear counselors on YouTube and life coaches and stuff that's talking about, oh, I'm an alpha male. Alpha males don't have to talk like that. Doesn't matter. We are who we are. We don't walk around everybody else.
That's one of the things that Heather always says is, a lion doesn't need to tell you it's a lion.
They don't.
Your actions are going to show it.
Absolutely. Actions always speak louder than words. The problem is that people have lost touch of that. It's all about words now. Has nothing to do with actions anymore. They talk themselves up. It's in the entertainment industry. It's in the music industry. People are singing about things they've never done. They're getting these false, these false images about themselves to their fans by being a fake person. There's a lot of fakery out there, and so people are more and more afraid of becoming vulnerable and sharing their experiences because they don't match the status quo of everybody else. They don't want to open up because somebody's going to use that to their advantage. And it's really sad. And even in relationships now, more than well over half of all marriages end up in divorce now because they never had the connection in the first place. They never trusted each other. They never communicated with each other. And so that even further makes people not trust each other anymore. I mean, how can you not trust your significant other? That's insanity, especially if you're married, and you took in that vow.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing too. It's the world is a different place, and it took me a long time to admit that I even had mental health issues going on, and when I did, I felt like I failed, and then I got over that, and then I went on medication just recently again because I felt that I can do this without medication, and realized that I couldn't control it. I didn't know how to control it. The counselors that I went to, they didn't know what I was going through. I could sit there and try to talk to them until I was blue in the face, and they didn't understand what I was feeling. They didn't understand. And all they would say is, oh, well, get over it. Or they would say something cruel and negative. And it's like,
that's a horrible counselor, by the way.
Yeah.
That's an absolutely horrible counselor.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've had a lot.
You know,
I was told,
just be happy.
Yeah.
I was told by a counselor that if I would have been a better person, that I wouldn't have had to go through the things I went through. You know, I've had, and it's like I don't trust counselors. I don't trust doctors. It's really hard for me to trust outside of my home. It really is, because I was abused by a male. I can't be around male doctors. It's very hard for me to be around a male doctor, especially when they're like all up in your face, checking you out.
Well, and they're in an authoritative position as well, telling
Yeah.
you, saying what you need to change and all of that. So absolutely,
Exactly.
that makes sense.
So I always have Tommy come with me. Now I have a female doctor, and I love her to death. She's amazing. I love her so much that when she switched clinics, I went with because I did not want to lose her. Because she understands and she's compassionate and she knows that, you know, what I'm struggling with, and she offers that security that I need when it comes to a family doctor. And so, you know, she's the one that recommended me to this place that I'm going to be going to for my psychiatrist and stuff. And they asked me, do you want a male or a female? And I'm like, I need a female. I can't do the male thing. You know, it took me years to trust my last doctor who was a male, my psychiatrist who was a male. It took years, and he knew this, and he didn't rush anything, which was awesome. And I know there's good male doctors and good male counselors and good female counselors. I just never have been blessed with them. And so, you know, when you have all that going on and this and that, and it seems like a roller coaster, it's hard to talk about it, but in my heart, I know I need to do this, and that's why I'm here. Mm-hmm. And that's why, as much as I would rather not talk about it, I need to talk about it.
You should talk about it. You should.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, they're just talking in the chat. They're talking about different counselors, and I think that's just like anything else in life. You know, you have to be comfortable with the person, especially, you know, a counselor. You're talking about very personal things, so you have to be. You know, you have to build that trust. And just because they're a good counselor for this person, there may not be for you. So
absolutely,
don't ever stick with a counselor that you're not happy with. I mean, there's plenty of them out there. You'll find one that you can actually, you know, discuss and feel comfortable with and build a trust with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my wife was like that as well. She shopped her counselors around. She still does mental health counseling, I think once a week still. But and this may be an unpopular opinion, so I really hope I don't offend anybody. But now when they're talking about, you know, the doctor's saying, oh, just get over it, right? Now that's absolutely horrible. I mean, we're all in agreement there. But your goal is to get over it. Right. But it's not, well, it's easy, just get over it. I mean, that's not that. Like, a counselor should never say that. They should be like, okay, cool. Our goal is to beat this. So again, we're going to eat an elephant. How do we do that? We eat it one bite at a time. Okay, let's identify the issues. What can we do to start getting away from this and beat this? You know, and so yes, your goal is to get over it, but it's just not a light switch. But you also got to own up to yourself too and go, hey, if I want to change, I need to change me. It's my responsibility. I'm accountable of it. I'm using this doctor, this counselor, whichever, as a guide. You know, just like, for example, if I'm a fighter, right, and I'm going in, I'm boxing, I'm kicking ass or whatever, and I'm growing my boxing career. Well, I still need a coach to go, hey, man, when you do this, try this. Or this dude's hitting you this way, you're not seeing this. Let's address this. Let's train on this to get you going. So you're back in the fight and you're fighting that demon. You know, you have, okay, cool. He's saying he does this. He's saying he does this. So I'm going to keep a lookout for that. And I'm going to use this tool or use this punch or use this approach that this guide, that this coach or this counselor is teaching me how to do it. But the fight is you. Like, you do need to get over it. Just not that way.
Yeah.
That's horrible. I mean, I would
get over it.
Yeah, if I
Right,
would have
and then-
lost, if a counselor said that to my wife, I probably would have gone in there and I would have had him get over something. That would have
Yeah.
upset me pretty hard. I mean, you don't say. I mean, how demeaning and degrading and just like, oh, it's not a big deal, get over it. Like, psh,
Yeah.
you're just bitching.
Well, the reason
that's
you're there is
horrible.
to get the tools to get over it. I mean,
Right.
Correct.
somebody just say, get over it.
Yeah, I stopped going to a counselor. This last counselor that I had, I stopped going to her because she was telling me that it was my own fault.
That you
And I
were
was like-
abused?
About everything,
Oh, wow.
everything in my life that was going wrong. And she's like, well,
that's
we have to
horrible.
work on you before we can work on anything else. And I'm like, okay, how do we do that? I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt because that's just how I am. And she was just very rude. I'm not one of those girls that would be like thuggish. I guess the word I'm looking for is I'm not somebody like that. Okay. I am a loving, caring person. I don't need to go put my hands on somebody to make myself feel better. And that's kind of the thing that she was like insinuating, I guess you could say.
Well, and see, that's the thing is that type of counseling, not that I agree with that, I don't agree with it at all, but maybe that is what other people need. They need that kick in the ass. That's what works for other people. And it definitely just didn't work for you.
No, because
You gotta keep looking, because everybody has a different avenue on how to attack a similar problem.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because for me, and I'm a pretty, like I said, I'm a pretty aggressive guy, and so I like getting kicked in the ass. I mean, it's like, you know what? Yeah, okay, because that's just how my brain is. I get myself pumped up. I'm going to beat this. Nothing's going to get me. Like I'm going to go do this. And so, if I was, for example, being counseled by who she was being counseled, and they said that it's all your fault. Now, what that's telling me is that that's justifying the behavior that people did to me because it was my fault. And so having somebody in authority telling me that, somebody who's supposed to be an expert that should know more about this than I ever will, to me, that would be like, well, maybe I am a POS. Maybe I do deserve to be abused. Maybe I am nobody, so that psychologically would really throw me off. But I do want to address something in the chat right here, which is Sharking Mom Deals, saying that sometimes counseling does more harm than good. And so she's saying that her ex dealt with PTSD, right? So I'm diagnosed PTSD from Iraq. And multiple, I did multiple tours, did multiple different assignments when I was in the military. And so and again, I'm not going to assume anything, but maybe this could be something that could give you a little bit of insight. And so the majority of people, especially Vietnam veterans, they have PTSD because they can't come to terms with some of the things they did. Innocents were killed. There was collateral, things happen. And so they carry a massive amount of guilt. There are particular times when I was in Iraq, especially right outside of Iraq through MSR Tampa, which is the main supply route Tampa, to where we got ambushed and we had a weapon system called a Mark 19. A Mark 19 is a fully automatic grenade launcher. It's chain belt fed grenades. And so we were taking fire from buildings. It was not all enemy combatants in there. But here we are pinned down. There was an engineer barricade there that wasn't supposed to be. I was escorting a convoy. We got stuck on the bridge. As soon as you stop somewhere out there, you start getting indirect fire by mortar. They'll come up, they'll take positions, and then you'll experience small arms fire. And small arms is like the AK-47, the AK-74, and then your indirect fire would be like your mortar systems. And so we start taking fire because we're dead in the water. I've got to turn all these trucks around. I've got to get my Humvees to go SPF, support by fire positions, to make sure they can lay suppressive fire because we're taking fire in so we can get out and direct these TCNs to turn their trucks around, right? So there were civilian casualties. We killed people that were not combatants. That's what we had to do. We had to nullify the threat that was in buildings that were not full of combatants. There were civilians in there, and it is what it is. And so, myself, and my squad have dealt with that. We've talked about it. Does it suck? Yes, but here it is. a lot of us got over it. The reason why we got over is because if we didn't do exactly what we did at that time, some of us or all of us could have died. There could have been more carnage. There could have been more collateral. So if we didn't do exactly what we did while we were there, we may not be here. And my brothers may not be here to this day. And so again, if you do stuff like that and you have guilt about what you did and you second guess it, when you have PTSD and the counselor's like, okay, let's go back to some of the events that were traumatic to you. What remembers, like what do you have nightmares about, and what do you regret or whatever? Because a lot of veterans have a tremendous amount of regret. A tremendous they gave an order. I gave an order that got my gunner killed. And my order that I gave was given to me by an incompetent major. And I will never forgive that major for the rest of my life. If I could find him on the streets, that would be a good day. However, it was my job in the field to make sure that the orders from my officers were done and the mission was accomplished. And so that's what we did. It was a horrible order, but it is what it is. And so having things like that, going back, what they're trying to do is they're trying to have especially if it's a veteran or whoever, they're trying to make them be at peace of what happened. You know, that's the thing, because they never find peace with what happened. And so they carry that guilt forever. And that's a big part of PTSD. And so even though you don't agree with it, even though that you fight it or whichever, you have to be able to go, you know what, that was done. And even if all these things were done, I'm still here. I'm still moving forward. I still have a family. I still have people that love me. I'm here for a purpose, so on and so forth. And so they can kind of put those things at rest and move forward. And the only way to do that, like they talked to me about several things. And even though it pissed me off and I wasn't happy about it, it should have never happened. What they're trying to do is let me kill those things and be at peace and be done, not bury him or nothing else, but just be like, you know what, I'm even though it wasn't a good thing, you know, it's over, it's done. And I'm here for something. I've got a family, I've got so much, so forth. And then I move forward. And so that's probably why they're asking those questions. They're very difficult questions, and they're gonna struggle with them. It takes more than one sitting, you know, and you're gonna struggle with it, and it's gonna come back up in your forefront. But the job is to kill it. The job is to get that over with and move on. And some people just never cope with things. They never find peace, and so that baggage affects the rest of their lives forever. They will never be complete. They'll never be happy because they carry this guilt for so long. It just it kills them. It kills them on the inside, and they're just a shell.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just saw Darlene said, my doctor said it is proven if you have chronic pain for many years, it changes your chemical makeup. That is why I was getting more depressed and couldn't overcome it. You know, I've noticed that a lot of people that I've spoken to personally that struggle with mental health, they also struggle with pain, a lot of pain. And so I guess fibromyalgia, is intertwined with mental health. And I know I've been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I know there are times where I have severe pain and have no idea why. It's not like I did anything or, you know, that would have caused it. And, you know, they say that fibromyalgia has to do with your nerve endings.
Misfiring nerve endings, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's what I deal with on top of struggling with the mental health. And then now that I have that foot-long incision, that sucker feels like it's on fire all the time. And then when you get the spidering electronic feeling sparks, it's like it brings you to your knees, or it brings me to my knees, I'm sorry. And so it's, you know, I can relate with the pain and the mental health struggles. And it's, I don't know. I don't understand why they coexist together so much. You know, I really don't.
The thing is we don't know, and doctors don't know. I mean, everything's always intertwined, but you never know how this is going to affect this. You know, Heather is bipolar, and she has my fibromyalgia, but she didn't have fibromyalgia she feels that she was bipolar, her whole life, or from when she was a kid. But the fibromyalgia just started, I don't know how long ago, 10 years ago, something like that. So it's almost like your mental health, like Darlene was saying, it kind of changes your. She said it the opposite way that I'm thinking of it. Your mental health causes other issues like fibromyalgia, and I'm not a doctor or anything.
Right.
That just seems to be that correlation.
Yeah.
I've done some research on this myself, and it's because it goes both ways. It's funny because I always mispronounce her name. I call her the crazy hat lady.
Tommy loves her. Yeah, I'm meaning to watch her. I keep forgetting.
And so it's funny because we're actually talking about this earlier in the stream, to where if you're positive and you're appreciative and you're going out and you look at life in a more positive way and you appreciate that you're alive and things that happen to you, that it actually reprograms you to see the world in a more positive light, right? Which again, that's a mental health issue. So it's funny that she came in here and said that, because that's the exact opposite that still does the same thing. And it's crazy because mental health, think of it like when you work out, right? When you're going in there and you're doing bicep curls, right? And you're trying to create the mind to muscle connection, have your system firing off, have the muscle get broken down, refeed it, the muscle gets bigger, and then you're stronger and you keep doing it and your body grows. Well, the brain, from what I've researched, and this would be an interesting for you guys to take a look at as well, is that the brain creates new neural pathways, right? New connections throughout the brain to make yourself more efficient. And so that's when this study came in, said, people that are miserable, people that are depressed, people that are always negative about things all the time, it starts creating other issues, other health issues, and that starts stemming from mental health. For example, stress. Somebody in the chat mentioned this too, where stress causes inflammation. Well, inflammation has been linked to causing cancer. When things are chronically inflamed all the time, then you start getting the cellular buildup, and then that creates a type of cancer. And now with the world getting more stressed, also with nutrition and things as well, cancer is becoming more prevalent to us being alive, because we are more stressed than what we have been, So there's a lot of things that spawn from that. And again, fibromyalgia is the misfiring of your nervous system that causes you the sensation of pain. And that's also been linked with neural pathways and how your brain is. And so mental illness does cause a lot of actual physical things, like when they diagnosed that heartbreak was an issue, when they said that heartbreak was an actual clinical diagnosed thing because of, dealing with heartbreak, dealing with lost loved ones. Then I forgot exactly how it works, but people do get diagnosed with that. I forgot what the medical term was, but it's something that was mentally so excruciating or so hurtful or so stressful that it's causing a physical response.
Did you say crazy lamp lady?
Hat.
Oh,
She's talking about Darlene. Yeah, Norgus.
Oh, a crazy
Norgus.
Yeah.
The first stream I saw her, she had that steampunk hat on, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
Tommy loves Darlene too, but I thought you said crazy lamp lady. He likes her on YouTube, so I was gonna pull up her link, and I got confused. I got confused, but no. So Darlene she's like my second mom. She's awesome, and she calls Tommy her SIL. I'm surprised she hasn't jumped on. I wonder if she's back. I thought I saw her in chat.
She was in the chat.
Yeah, she was in.
But I did comment on something, didn't I? See, my brain is like today. Roller coaster. Darlene, are you going to come in, dear, if you're still here? But yeah, I mean, I have learned so much from Darlene, and she's been one of my support systems with my mental health. And I absolutely love her to death. And I mean, I have all these people in chat right now. They have been amazing support. But I know that I can call Darlene in the middle of the night if I'm having a complete breakdown, and she will answer that phone and she will talk me down.
She's all right.
Well, what's crazy is
you've corner a lot, Dwayne.
Well, what's crazy is you've had 27 people here at one time listening to you in the chat. So you've hit over 27 today.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm trying to pay attention to chat, but I'm also trying to pay attention to you guys too. Sometimes it's better than other times. So I have been reading chat, and don't think I'm ignoring you, because I am very happy that you guys are here, and I see you guys are having a great conversation in chat. A lot of people suffer from fibromyalgia and all this, so that's awesome.
So does anybody in the chat have any questions for me or Jacob? I mean, like I said, we're kind of spouses of people with mental health. I have mental health issues as well. Mine just aren't to the extent that Heather's are at this point. But is there any questions on how the whole idea was the spousal thing? So
what out of curiosity, Mothership, what and your real name is Dwayne? Is that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. So my real name is Jacob. In case you don't know.
I would never guess. I mean,
out of curiosity, what years were you in the Corps?
What years? I was in from 90 to 96.
Oh, would you go over there for Desert Storm?
No, I was actually in school when Desert Storm first started.
Okay.
In 1991, I was still in school. So I didn't actually go overseas.
What was your MOS or I forgot what you guys call them over.
I'm a crypto tech.
Oh, nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah.
Cryptographer. Nice.
Yeah, took care of all the scramblers for communications. So
nice. I knew a buddy of mine used to do that for our Warlock systems over there, to block the IEDs and all that. So that's a cool job. That's a cool job. That's really techie. You're definitely a data guy.
Yeah. I know. I get teased about it all the time. My wife says I have the what was it, the lamest or something job in the world. I mean, it's just a bunch of nerds. So.
Hey, us nerd. I'm a nerd. I just lift heavy things, but I'm a very nerdy guy.
The most unsexy. That's what it is. It's an unsexy job.
That's why I lift weights. That's the whole reason. That's why I go to the gym. So it counteracts the unsexiness of what I do. I was an analyst and an auditor for a while, and trust me, that's not a very sexy job.
So last night, I think it was last night or it was this morning, we were having a conversation with my 12-year-old daughter. She was brushing her hair out, right? And she was talking about how she got picked on at school, being called frog face and stuff like that. And I was like, but you have a beautiful frog face. I love your face. And then they were talking about something. I wasn't really quite paying attention. All of a sudden I hear, don't judge. I love nerds. And I'm like, what? I'm like, you're 12 years old. Don't talk like that.
Yeah, nerd lives matter.
Yeah.
Hey, just remember, someday you'll be working for a nerd. That's what you got to tell them.
You know what? And that's a very true statement. That is a very true statement.
I just the conversation was just crazy, and these are the kind of conversations that happen, like just random conversations here. Sometimes they're funny. Sometimes I'm like, really, guys, really. So we're watching this series on Netflix called Queen of the South. Okay. I don't know if any of you know or have seen it. So Tommy has been talking like he's Mexican. He's got yeah. So our son, who's 13, was trying to mimic him. It didn't go very well. Let's just say that. So, but in there, it kind of like that show is showing to me. Okay, so this is my opinion and outtake of the show. Okay, if you guys want to watch it, it's actually a really good show. But it's about the cartel and stuff like that. But it's about this woman who was abused, was a mule, like a drug runner type person. Okay, she was really abused. She was in a cage. Now it shows the steps on how she became where she is now. And each episode she gets stronger and stronger. And not that I'm not comparing myself to the whole drug part of it, but I see myself getting stronger and stronger through this show because of all the steps that she's doing. So I can relate to her.
There you go.
I feel like it's positive for me because I'm sure at the end of the series, it she's powerful. I mean, it gives the flashbacks of her, or the I don't know how to explain. It's like she's seeing herself in the future while she's doing this stuff, and she's very powerful. But it's like helping and empowering for me because it seems like I'm seeing myself grow like she's growing. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. 1% a day.
It's all about progression. I mean, if you can see yourself getting better, I mean, that's a goal. I mean, if you see it in your mind, you're like, I'm going to grow from this. You're going to. If you think that you're not going to grow, you're not going to. It's all mindset.
Yep, I agree.
So, all right. So it is we've been on for 2 hours and 34 minutes, almost 35 minutes.
Yes, we've been on for a bit.
I was like, I looked at the time before, it was like 45 minutes. And then I was like, whoa, we've been on for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So I want to thank you both so much for coming on and sharing your story and sharing, the things that you go through, Dwayne, as well with your wife. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Jacob, for coming and giving us another look at things and for sharing your story as well. I hope everybody has an amazing, phenomenal, blessed rest of your day. We will see you next Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Do you guys have anything else going on this week? I know you do a lot of lives and a lot of things on YouTube, Jacob.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, my schedule real quick, not to make this about me. But my schedule, I have Motivation Monday. So every Monday morning, I talk about a subject or a topic to take a look at. I do it right before my first workout of the week. So I'm in either my SUV or my car or my truck, whatever I'm in. So I'll talk about a topic. I'll talk for a few minutes and maybe incorporate in your life or what your thoughts are or whichever. On Tuesday, I do Trending Tuesday. And so all my videos are uploaded at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So Trending Tuesday is something that's related to either finance or related to business that's trending in the news. Last week I did the coronavirus and how it affected the stock market. Wednesday I do a Wealth Wednesday. So I give alternative ways to make money online or at home. Or taxation or benefits or things you can do to protect your money to have more efficient finances. Thursday, I do a Tech Thursday. So I outline either programs, softwares, or hardwares that are built for either businesses or personal business, sole proprietorship, whichever. And then Friday mornings, I do a Friday morning stream at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's Feedback Friday. So people come in with their businesses, their websites, their Facebook pages, or their YouTube channels, and I'll go through and I'll do an SEO analysis on it, see how they're performing, how the impressions are, how their keywords are ranking, things they can do to increase marketing strategies, the whole 9 yards to grow their businesses. And then also every weekday, Monday through Friday, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I have Power Networking. So people come in, they promote their businesses, they promote their YouTube channels or whatever channels they have. I play some of their content. We talk about it. We talk about what they do. They introduce themselves and talk about what their goals and visions is. And that's kind of how my channel operates throughout the week.
Holy cow. So you're just a lazy guy. You don't do anything.
I don't do nothing. And this isn't even a job. This is an extension of my company. So I still do all the management and everything on the outside too. So.
Wow. Yeah, I told you he's busy.
I'm a very busy guy. I'm a workaholic. It is what it is. And, I'll liquidate a lot of my holdings.
Just hearing your schedule.
I know, right? I wish I had that kind of motivation. Really do someday.
You will. The nice thing is once you start seeing success with it, it becomes your drug. You're like, what can I do with this? Where can I go? And especially because I have people that actually go on YouTube and give me dedication videos, and they'll talk about me and how I've helped them, Like I've got a guy that came out of corporate America. He's running his own firm now. And so he's come out and did a dedication video, and people that never thought they'd be successful with something, they implemented some things and followed me, and now they're here. And so when you got people do stuff like that, it really validates what you're doing, and that's your motivation. And you're going to get that. People are going to come on and say, because of you, I did this. Because of you, this happened. And that gets you more and more motivated to know that you actually changed somebody's life. And it'll happen. It'll happen soon.
So I did drop Jacob's link into chat, and that way you guys can follow him. It will be in the description below after everything is all up and going. And then it's processed, the video is processed and stuff like that. So, but his information and Dwayne's information, everybody that was on the panels, their information will be down below. Again, thank you everybody for coming. I hope you have a magical rest of your week, a magical day. Happy Saturday. Much love.
Thank you, Shamrock. Later, Dwayne.